After a not-so-epic Survivor Series this past Saturday, Triple H, after the show, was addressing the upcoming episode of Monday Night Raw. And he promised an epic show was coming with the fallout of Survivor Series. This was not an epic show. I don't know why he does these things. I don't know why they get people's hopes up by using those kinds of words and using that kind of language. I know he's a promoter and he's trying to promote. But like, if you don't have some sort of big reveal planned for the show of some kind, I don't know why you would put yourself in that position. It was still a good show. It might not have been epic, but it was, I thought, a good show. Although there was no Roman Reigns, there was no CM Punk. He is not medically cleared. So we didn't see them on the show tonight. One reveal that we did not get was the reveal of the mystery man who ran into the men's War Games match at Survivor Series. No Austin Theory on tonight's show, although Logan Paul is confirmed as a official member of the Vision. And here I thought that this was just going to be a War Games thing. He was going to be in, he was going to be out, because he has hardly been any sort of full-time performer here on TV. But he is apparently now an official member of the Vision. So we did find that out tonight. We also learned, I guess you could say he's a full-blown oos, but we also learned that Bron Breakker, who was the man who pinned the World Heavyweight Champion at the end of War Games, is going to get his championship match against CM Punk on the first Raw of the new year. It's right here in Brooklyn, coming up on January 5th. Bron Breakker gets his shot at the world title on that show. And I'll tell you what, we didn't find out who the mystery man was who attacked Punk in War Games. They have chosen to drag this out a little bit. They're going to milk it. They're going to milk the mystery. So we have two mystery angles basically going on at the same time on Raw and SmackDown, because I haven't forgotten that somebody attacked Jacob Fatu. We still don't know who that person is. We'll find out who attacked him soon enough, unless they just forget about the whole thing. But they're going to milk this for all it's worth, and it makes me wonder if maybe the reveal doesn't come for another month. Maybe they're going to save the reveal for that big title match in Brooklyn on January 5th. Maybe the mystery man is going to help Bron Breakker win the World Heavyweight Championship on that show. And if they save it for that, you know what? That would certainly be more impactful than just having this person pull the mask off and reveal their identity on a random episode of Raw. So if they have some kind of big reveal plan, then that's fine. But that's what has me thinking we may have to wait another month or so before we get an answer to that question. But speaking of Bron Breakker, I'm going to get into that whole segment with the Vision a little bit later on. But Bron Breakker had a coming out moment on the show tonight, because we got to hear from Bron Breakker in the ring, just addressing the audience, addressing the hard cam, talking to us, getting all fired up about this match with CM Punk. He cut the promo of his life in the ring tonight. And it got me hyped up to see this match in a way that I wasn't before. And it just illustrates, again, he is somebody who, whether or not you think he's going to end up being the face of WWE and the guy who really runs the place, clearly they have him tabbed for big things. We've known this for a while now. We've known this since the early days of NXT 2.0, right? He was the hand-picked one. He was the chosen one, right? He's a Steiner. It's in his blood. But I do think that the more we get to hear from him in these types of segments and situations, the more that we will see him as somebody who I think could be not just the champion, but could be somebody who leads a brand on his own, as we look ahead in the years to come. This is the sort of promo that I was hoping to see after he beat the hell out of Seth Rollins and walked up to Bronson Reed and said, "You're either with me or you're against me." And he walked up to Paul Heyman and he said, "You're either with me or you're against me." And this is where I thought it was going to go, where Braun would take more of a leadership role. He would take more of an alpha male type of role in the Vision. And they didn't do that. He just became... he didn't become anything. He was just the same Bron Breakker he was before, and Paul Heyman was leading the charge. So he was being more assertive here. He was just showing a side of himself that I would like to see more of. That guy right there that we saw in the ring tonight, that could be your World Heavyweight Champion. That's the guy that I could buy into as being the top champion here on this show. So I thought for him, it was a great night. And I'm hoping that they make the right decision when it comes time to choose whether or not they are ready to put that championship on him or not. I'm not even saying it's going to happen on January 5th, but that's when the ball is rolling down the hill. I don't know that that's going to be the only match between those two. I'm not saying there will be a title change or there has to be a title change on that particular show, although I would love to see it. But that, you talk about a vision. The vision that I have for Monday Night Raw moving into 2026, that guy right there should be front and center. We talk a lot about how the main event scene in WWE is populated by a lot of older guys that have been around for many years. And they've been in this position before, and it gets tiring after a while, right? They're all big names. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, right? They're all big names. So of course you want them in the mix. But at some point, you also have to pull the trigger and say, okay, it's time that we really put our muscle behind one of these younger guys, one of these newer guys. So it doesn't just feel like we're seeing the same faces over and over again. You know, Braun Breaker is part of that vision, no pun intended. But we also know who is going to be wrestling in the finals of the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. This tournament has been very half-assed from the very beginning. And one of the few beacons of light in this entire tournament has been Gunther. This man, we didn't see him since SummerSlam. He came back in this tournament, and he wrestled Javon Evans in Madison Square Garden. And they had my favorite match of the entire tournament. They had a very good match. And Gunther went in there last week against Carmelo Hayes, and they had a very good match. And then we saw Penta get hurt. And the hopes of seeing Gunther and Penta in the semifinals went up in smoke. Although, depending on who you believe, that match was never planned to begin with. But regardless, we ended up with Gunther against Solo Sikoa. And like you hear that, you say Gunther and Solo Sikoa, you know, in the semifinals. It was kind of weird how tonight, the two matches, we had babyface against babyface, and we had heel against heel. And it's not an easy thing to work that dynamic, especially heel against heel. But somehow, these two made it work. They found a way to make it work. Gunther and Solo Sikoa had a match tonight that far exceeded the expectations that I had for it. And it was slow to start. It took some time to really build. The fans really, you know, didn't have a dog in the fight. You know, they didn't really have somebody to cheer for when it started. But by the time it was over, these two guys went out there and they had a really good match. And as much credit as I give to Gunther, because he's had nothing but bangers in this tournament so far, you got to give credit to Solo Sikoa. What we saw out of him, I think, in the ring tonight is the kind of match that, honestly, I have not seen out of him since he was doing the Street Fighter gimmick in NXT. He was a babyface in NXT, and he has some really good matches down there. He just had a different role when he got called up to the main roster. He was the silent enforcer in the Bloodline, so he never spoke. He wasn't wrestling all the time. In that character, he was fine. He served his purpose in that group. He was great. And then, you know, they obviously split him away from Roman, and he formed his own crew, and now he's got the MFTs. And you see these little moments where he can be very funny and he can be entertaining. You know that he's got a personality there. But they have him playing this role of the boss of the MFTs, and it's a serious role. And it's just it's death. It's death on the show. It's not a role that really suits him. He's not the leader of a faction. And it's one of the things about SmackDown, frankly, that is very boring on Friday nights, especially because they refuse to actually flesh out and develop any of the other characters in that group. And so long as they can insist on not doing so, I'm going to continue to trash them. But then we saw, kind of flashes of the old Solo Sikoa in the ring tonight, which just showed you that, depending on who he's in the ring with, he can, go in there and work with anybody else just as well as anybody else. And they went out there and had a really good match. So we'll get into what happened there a little bit later on. The other night, of course, the other match was Jey Uso against LA Knight. And I know who I was rooting for in that match. Rikishi, I'm sure, was glued to the TV screen tonight. And he's probably not very happy that both of his boys got bounced out of the tournament in the same night. I'm sure he's not very happy about that. We also had a real good main event until it was ruined at the end. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And it was ruined by the Kabuki Warriors, and we saw Bayley and Lyra get involved, and the Judgment Day ladies got involved. What it was just shining a spotlight on the tag team division, the women's tag team division. You had 5 teams out there at the end of the show tonight, and there really aren't many more than that. I mean, the only other one I could think of might be the Secret Hervis. So at most, you have half a dozen teams. But you saw all those women involved in the closing segment tonight. They shined a spotlight on them. Liv Morgan was the final person that we saw before the show faded to black tonight. Liv Morgan is back. If you didn't see Survivor Series, she made her return. She helped Dom win the Intercontinental title back from John Cena. And it's great to have her back on the show. She was one of the key characters on Monday nights. There were a lot of different storyline possibilities with her and Finn Balor, her and Dom, her and Roxanne. And then she got hurt, so they pulled her off television altogether. So I was very curious when she came back, are they going to pick up where they left off with the tension? There was this underlying tension with her and Roxanne Perez. And there was, I can't call it underlying, it was pretty well out there, the tension between her and Finn Balor. We got none of that on the show tonight. All is well for the time being. All is well in the ranks of the Judgment Day. And Liv Morgan appears to be the de facto leader of this crew. That's how she acted tonight. So for the time being anyway, everything's copacetic and there really wasn't a whole lot of drama, which doesn't make for the best television if everybody is getting along. But I guess they wanted to have a fresh start. Liv is back and all is well. For now. So when this show was over, it felt like there was enough on the show, I think, I can't sit here and say it was a bad show. It wasn't a bad show. It was a good show. It wasn't an epic show. And there's a lesson to be learned here. Don't throw around words like that unless you actually have an epic show planned. Because people are going to cling to that and they're going to wonder, ooh, what does he mean by that? He wouldn't use that word unless there was something big planned on the show. I wonder who's going to come back, or I wonder who's going to debut, or I wonder what kind of big shocking twist we're going to have on the show. We didn't have any of that tonight, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I thought overall it was a good show. This is your Raw on Netflix review. It is the first day of December 1st, 2025. I am the Solomonster. We are almost at the end of the year. Can you believe the holidays are almost upon us? We only have so many more Raw reviews before the year is over. So I'm glad that you're spending your Monday night with me. Hit that subscribe button. We picked up a bunch of new subscribers over the weekend. I want to thank you for all of the feedback and the comments and hanging out with me to the tune of almost 2,600 people on Saturday night for the Survivor Series review. Of course, Sunday was episode 940 of the Sound Off that dropped. And on the podcast, we talked more in depth about Survivor Series. We talked more about this news of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, part 3, supposedly, reportedly, being planned for WrestleMania next year in Las Vegas. And not that that isn't a big match, but I think that's a mistake. That segment is now up on the YouTube channel if you missed it. But go check out the full podcast if you have not already done so. Of course, wait until you're done here. Then you can go check out the podcast. But anyway, Super Chats are open. We have a goal going in the chat for some bonus Be the Booker. But get those Super Chats on in, and I will be reading your messages a little bit later on here in the stream. Now, let's talk about this show here. The show opened with shots of The Vision and other assorted stars arriving at the building. Logan Paul was with Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. That was the first hint of, wait a minute, is this guy part of the Vision or not? It appears that he is. We got confirmation of that later on in the show. They also showed the Judgment Day out in the parking lot, all but Dominic and Liv Morgan. They arrived separately in a lowrider. And Liv got out of the car and she was hugging Raquel and JD McDonough. And she just nodded at Roxanne Perez. Then she started talking to Finn Balor, but we couldn't hear them. We could hear Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett. We couldn't hear them. So Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, they made their way out to the ring to officially open things. Ripley said that they were a little banged up after War Games.
Attention
Go.
to the sicko in row 4. Look, I know you're excited to be at Dynamite tonight. It's your first show, but you can't be pulling that thing out. Okay, you got to put that away.
Fuck Triple H.
And don't think I didn't see that sign that you brought that said, I came to see AEW. That's sick. Thank you.
It's always the little fuck Triple H that gets me there. Almost got me to crack. Retro KOH. Thank you, sir. It's good to hear from you. And all the sickos out there tonight, who I'm sure we're all watching Monday Night Raw. It's their favorite show. So Ripley said they were a little banged up, but they won the war. She said they managed to come out victorious despite them and their teammates not all being on the same page. Ripley said the war is not over, though. She said that she and Io want revenge, and it would start by taking the women's tag team titles away from the Kabuki Warriors. So Ripley started to call out the champions, but she was interrupted by Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, the former tag team champions who made their way down to the ring. Bliss wanted Rhea to pump the brakes on going after the women's tag team titles because Charlotte and Alexa, they're still owed a rematch. And Rhea invited them both to get to the back of the line because they already lost to Asuka and Kairi. And of course, this all leads to Alexa challenging Rhea and Io to a match for tonight, and Io accepts. And Joe Tessitore says, didn't see that coming. Really? Have you been watching wrestling for 6 months? You didn't see that coming. I saw it coming the minute the fucking segment started. I saw it coming the minute that Charlotte and Alexa made their way to the ring. But apparently Joe Tessitore was caught off guard by this challenge. So anyway, that was our main event settled for tonight. So in the opening minutes of the show, they established what the main event was going to be. Not much more to it. From there, they cut to the back where Adam Pearce was confronted outside of his office by Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker. And actually before that, I completely missed Ivy Nile. Can you blame me? This woman hasn't been on the show in a hot minute. This was like her second appearance on Raw in the last few weeks, and that's after how many months of not being on this show? So before Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker came in, Ivy Nile, she was the first one to confront Adam Pearce. And she demanded a title shot against Maxine Dupree. She says she deserved it. And Pearce was like, you deserve it. Now, again, this is a woman who prior to, was it last week? That was her legitimate first appearance in any kind of segment on this show in months. This is a woman here in Ivy Nile who last wrestled on this show in June. But she's here saying she deserves a shot because Maxine Dupree has never beaten her before. In all the previous matches they've had, probably all those main event matches, Maxine has never beaten her. And evidently this is a fairly convincing argument to Adam Pearce, who said that he would look into making that match happen. Now, after Ivy left, that's when we got Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker. They walked up. Heyman pled ignorance because Pearce wanted to know about the Mystery Man from War Games back on Saturday. Yeah, Z-Ray says, I forgot Ivy Nile was even on the show. I forgot I even wrote her name in my notes. I almost skipped over her completely. What does that tell you? So he wants to know more about this Mystery Man. Heyman, of course, he pleads ignorance as to who this person was. And he would rather discuss the implications of Braun Breaker pinning CM Punk, the World Heavyweight Champion, to win War Games on Saturday. So they took the meeting into Pearce's office to further discuss things. And then they also casually mentioned on commentary after this that CM Punk was not medically cleared to wrestle after War Games. Now, I'm sure that's just part of the storyline. He wasn't meant to be on the show tonight, I'm assuming. Or maybe he is legitimately banged up. See, this is the problem when you have a 47-year-old that you have starting War Games that goes 40 minutes. Although, granted, he probably did a lot of laying around during the match. But I was surprised when I saw him out there, honestly, opening the fucking match on Saturday. So we didn't see CM Punk on the show tonight. We had our first of two semifinal matches in the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament with main event Jey Uso one-on-one against LA Knight. Uso hit a suicide dive out onto Knight on the floor, and they cut to an early commercial. There was a spot here in this match where Knight sent Jay out of the ring, and he set up, this, now LA, everyone has their moves that they do. LA Knight, he's got that running charge into the corner where he'll jump up and hit a superplex. He's got the leaping, standing elbow drop, but he's also got that running basement drop kick, that low drop kick through the ropes, and he lands on his feet outside the ring. So he was setting up for that because Jay was sent outside of the ring. The problem is Jay was out of position. He was sucking wind over by the announce desk. So LA Knight is standing, on the far side of the ring, and he's looking at Jay, and he sees that Jay is not in position. And you can audibly hear him. You can audibly hear LA Knight saying, "Closer. Get closer. Closer." So Jay got a little bit closer, but he didn't get close enough. So when LA Knight came through the ropes for the dropkick, he barely grazed Jey Uso. Like it did not look good. So Jay fought his way out of a superplex attempt back inside the ring. Both men exchanged punches, and then they each tumbled off the ropes. LA Knight fell off the ropes on one side. Jay fell off the ropes on the other. They both landed on the floor. And so now the referee administers the count. They both made it back inside. Knight hit a burning hammer for a near fall. Jay landed a spear after this. Knight kicked out at 2. Jay went to the top, and Knight popped up, and he was going to go for that leaping superplex spot in the corner. But he slipped. Had a little slip. He didn't slip and fall on his ass like Brock Lesnar did last week. But he slipped momentarily, and then he readjusted and recovered from that. Hit the superplex. After landing the superplex, Jay is pounding the mat, like angrily pounding the mat. I assume he was just selling. Unless he really got hurt on the move and wasn't happy about something. But he starts pounding on the mat. Knight covers him. Only gets a near fall. So Jay comes back with another spear, and he heads up top for an Uso splash, and he had the match won at that point, but he covered LA Knight in a way where he covered him with his back, which you never do. You don't do that. You give the guy your back. So naturally, before the referee could count 3, LA Knight hooks him over into a crucifix, and he gets the flash pin. And I'm just sitting here watching this, and I'm just going, thank God. Xavier Woods on Raw every week. Like, that's the New Day punchline. Thank God for the New Day, right? I'm watching this going, thank God we actually got the right decision here in this match. Now, it doesn't matter. Let's just be honest, okay? Let's just be honest about the whole thing here. It doesn't matter who won this match, because whoever wins this match is just going to SmackDown on Friday and losing to Gunther, okay? You know it. I know it. LA Knight knows it. Jey Uso knew it. We all know it. But I had no appetite for another Gunther Jey Uso match. We've had enough of those this year. We had them last year, too, for the Intercontinental title. And then that bled over into this year for the World Heavyweight title. We don't need another Gunther Jey Uso match. So thankfully, we are not getting one, because if we had Gunther and Jey Uso in the finals of this tournament, I would have banged my head against this wall. At least Gunther and LA Knight is something different. We know the outcome, but at least it's something different. So thankfully, we got the right result here. It doesn't change anything. We all know how this tournament is going to end. It's still going to be Gunther at Saturday night's main event, going in there against John Cena. How sad is it that I have to sit here and consider this a mild upset? I do. I consider this a mild upset that LA Knight actually beat Jey Uso. It says a lot about the state of LA Knight over the last few months that I would even think like that and consider it any kind of upset. After the match was over, Jay's sitting in the corner, and they stopped the music. So something's going to happen, right? And Jay's sitting there, and he's very despondent. Crowd's giving him some polite applause as he rolls out to the floor over by the announcers. And he's just sort of pacing around for a little bit, and I'm like, all right, where's this going? Like, what are we doing here? And then finally, he overturns the Prime hydration station. He's throwing the Prime stand around. He grabs the ring steps, and he throws the ring steps down. He was doing his best Bret Hart impersonation from after the match in Montreal at Survivor Series, where he just started wrecking shit all around ringside. The only thing Jay didn't do, he didn't destroy monitors the way that Brett did. But basically, he was throwing a fit. He was having a meltdown here. And then he left and he went to the back and he looked very angry. He was seething as he walked to the back. And I thought he might even attack the announcers or something. I mean, they kept the camera on him for so long and I was waiting for something to happen that I thought, okay, he's going to do something heelish. He's going to attack somebody and maybe he is going to go heel, right? Or they're going to tease that he's going heel. That's kind of what it felt like here. But I mean, he didn't do anything heelish. He was just blowing off some steam. He was very upset. The baby faces are coming off a loss, right? In War Games on Saturday. And so here he lost again. And I suppose it could end up being a heel turn. We got another segment with him later in the show. I don't think it's a heel turn. Look, I'll say this. I am all in favor of some sort of character development with Jey Uso, other than him just being the guy who comes out and yeets. Because it's very clear from watching him in the ring, like, there's nothing about his in-ring style. Like, he does what he does. He's got his big moves that he does. And that's never going to change. Like, he's not trying to incorporate new moves or new things into his routine. Even fucking John Cena, go back 10 years ago, John Cena was throwing in standing Ranas and shit that he was trying in his matches because people always made fun of him for having the same 5 moves. So Cena's like, I'll show you. And I just said, like, okay, he's still not the best wrestler in the world, but you know what? I give the guy credit for at least trying some new stuff. You're never going to get that with Jey Uso. All right? You're just not. What you see is what you get. So the best you can hope for is that they at least try to develop this character in some way that's interesting. And I hope that's what they do with him. It's still too early to tell exactly where this is going to go. He's going to be more of a tweener. Is he going to abandon the yeet stuff? I don't think he will because they love it. They love those drone shots and those crowd shots. Look at Survivor Series. The guy is sitting on top of the steel cage, assaulting the cage and dry humping the cage. And they have this aerial shot of, 40-something thousand people in the crowd yeeting in the middle of War Games, right? They love this shit. So that's not going to go away. That's why they can't turn him heel. But any kind of character development. Because he's stuck in this rut where I'm not saying he's not popular. I'm just telling you that as a viewer, I watch Jey Uso on TV and I'm bored. I'm like, there's not much to what we are seeing here. So anything you could do is a welcome change. Let's see where they take this. I think it's a positive step that they're at least doing something different with him. I want to see more of that. Now, backstage, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Oh, that's right. Yes. How could I forget? John Cena also did a code red. Yes. Actually, a pretty good code red. You do know that, to be fair, when you do the code red, a lot of it really is your opponent. Let's just be honest. But still, he did learn. You do make a good point. He did learn that move as well. Any other moves that Cena started doing that I'm forgetting? I just remember he learned a few new moves and people lost their minds. They're like, oh man, John Cena learned a new move. You're never going to see that with Jey Uso. You're just not. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, they're in the back talking to Adam Pearce about getting back in the women's tag team title picture. Pearce asked Bayley if she was in the right headspace. Which Bayley am I talking to? By the way, whatever happened to that? It feels like they've completely abandoned the whole split personality thing with Bayley. There's been nothing new on that in weeks and weeks and weeks. Have they just completely set that character to the side? That's what it feels like to me. I mean, part of it was a little goofy, but like they were trying something with her and then they just sort of dropped it cold. There's been no character development, speaking of which, character development with her in like over a month. Apparently she was in the right headspace tonight. So Valkyria said that she was doing well most of the time. Pearce said that he would consider them for a shot. After he left, Asuka and Kairi Sane showed up. And Asuka said that her War Games team could have won the match had Bayley agreed to join them. Bayley called them idiots. Asuka said Bayley is nothing. Meanwhile, look at you, and look who's in the main event tonight. She said Charlotte Flair is in the main event tonight, and you are not. So Asuka leaves. Kairi then presents Bayley with that green chain that she came out to the ring with at War Games. She presents her with the chain, and she gently places it around her neck before being yelled at by Asuka off camera. Yeah! I hit the wrong soundbite. As you could hear LA Knight in the background go, yeah, LA Knight was there too. You didn't hear him, but I did. See? I bet you didn't hear him there, but let's pretend that he was there. So yes, you heard Kairi, and then off went Kairi, and that was the end of the segment. See, the wrestlers aren't the only ones who botch. I botch too sometimes. But see, I could play it off like Brock Lesnar did last week. Dominic Mysterio, let's move on here. Dominic Mysterio was out to the ring next with all the members of the Judgment Day, all except Liv Morgan, to address the crowd after regaining his Intercontinental title from John Cena, the biggest win of his career at Survivor Series. See, thank you, JP. JP Reckless says, yeah, I heard him too. See, I'm telling you, you didn't hear it, but LA Knight was in the background. See? I didn't botch nothing. Asuka shouting. Asuka shouting, yeah. That would be great. Let's just have them flip roles, and we'll have Asuka shout, yeah, and then LA Knight can just scream for Kairi. I think that'd be awesome. Dominic said that John Cena is the greatest of all time, but he just beat the greatest of all time. So that makes him the greatest Mysterio of all time. That makes him the greatest luchador of all time. And that makes him, once again, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. But he could not have done it without his boys, JD and Finn Balor, and of course, Roxanne and Raquel. But there's one person in particular that he most definitely could not have done it without. Please welcome Liv Morgan. So she got her own entrance. And she comes down to the ring, and she's very happy to be back. She says she's here to right the ship with the Judgment Day, who have been losing titles, and we got a close-up of Finn Balor looking disappointed. She said, as of right now, the Judgment Day once again officially runs Monday Night Raw. Oh, and Dominic, one more thing. And she slaps him across the face, which is what she did on Saturday, by the way. That was all part of the swerve. So she slaps Dominic in the face again here. Then she jumps up in his arms. And she rubs noses with him, and she kisses him on the cheek. Oh, my. It's one of those relationships I see. I see how it is. I'm not judging. Good for him. But they got one of those relationships going on. Look, I don't expect them to give everything away here. I don't expect them to give everything away in 1 week. But I was watching Finn Balor, and I was watching Roxanne in particular out there. And I was waiting for even just a hint of something, some sort of sneer or a negative reaction or a look or a nod or something. And there was nothing. This was as straightforward as it gets. Liv is back. The family is all on the same page. It's all smiles and rainbows and unicorns, and the Judgment Day is one well-oiled machine. They're one big happy family. And that makes for boring television, but they're going to take their time telling the story. Liv just came back. And I don't really have an issue with that. I'm just saying, in the moment, I was disappointed because I was hoping there would be a hint of something. But right now, they're playing it as everyone's on the same page, right? Until they're not. And whether it's next week, whether it's a month from now, we all know things will break down at some point. And whether it's drama with Liv and Balor or Liv and Roxanne, like, it will happen. But it's almost like we're starting all over again. And the Judgment Day is going to be the dominant group. I mean, you have the Vision, obviously, but the Judgment Day gets more television time than the Vision does. I don't see that changing. That's been the case for the last 2.5 years. There is no group in this company outside of the Bloodline over the last 5 years that has gotten more television time than the Judgment Day. I mean, they're in multiple segments every single week on these shows. And now that Liv Morgan is back, it's going to be more of the same. So you just kind of get to a point where it's like, how do you begin to differentiate these segments and kind of make them interesting and thread these things along where, yeah, you drop those little breadcrumbs of, oh, there's a little dissension here, or oh, that comment that she made behind his back, or whatever it may be. And it really does feel like we're just kind of starting all over again and pushing the reset button. So there wasn't much more to the segment. That's pretty much what we got. Not the last time we would see Liv, though, on the show. We got a training vignette after this for Maxine Dupree, who, of course, is the new Intercontinental Champion. But in this vignette, which was shot, it was very gritty, kind of grainy and gritty the way they shot this. She was shown training and getting her ass handed to her by Natalya, presumably in the dungeon. And she took out her first opponent with an ankle lock, but then she and Natty went at it, and it was not going well for Maxine. And Natty locked on the sharpshooter, and then she slapped Maxine down and told her, get out of her ring. Maxine fights back to her feet, right? This is like something out of a fucking movie, right? She's like struggling to get back to her feet. She's all sweaty and beat up, and she gets back to her feet and she yells again. And we got a shot of Natty. They didn't actually show you Natty's face until the very end. You can kind of see her through some of the blurry shots. But then at the very end, you saw it was Natty, and she smiles. It's weird to me. I'm sorry. It's weird to see something like this after she won the title. I feel like this is the sort of segment that we should have seen in the build-up to her winning the championship. Remember that segment on Raw like a month ago where she told Adam Pearce was like, you've earned the right to challenge Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental title. You've beaten her by countout. You've beaten her by disqualification. You've earned your shot. And do you remember Maxine's response? I appreciate that, but I think I'm going to call a friend. I'm not quite ready yet. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Which was kind of weird in and of itself. That's when these types of vignettes, you would expect them to be running. And then she wins the championship. So it felt a little backwards to be getting this now. That being said, I liked it. It's the sort of character development that I think Maxine needs. And it would also be nice to see more of Bloodsport Natty on TV. My only reservation about doing this kind of Bloodsport version of Natty on television, which we saw glimpses of here in this segment, is that you're never going to get Bloodsport Natty on WWE television. You're never going to get it. Right? She may change her gear, she may change her music, she may change aspects of her character. They're never gonna let her go out there and be the version of herself that we see in Bloodsport or when she's worked some of these independent shows. It'll be like a watered down version. She's never gonna get a serious push ever again in this company. So like, do I want to see it? Am I okay with seeing a watered down version of it? Not really. It would be cool. I mean, you talk about somebody who could use a character overhaul or a character makeover on this show. But she's not the priority right now. The priority is Maxine and doing everything you can to get Maxine over. So this may be the closest we get to Bloodsport Natty on WWE television. But I like this segment, and I would think that we're going to get more of them. Maybe, I don't know, a few more over the next few weeks. But building to what? Like, she's already won the title. It's kind of strange. Adam Pearce was backstage, and he summoned one of the referees over. He summoned over New York Mets fan Eddie Orengo over for a chat. And he tells Eddie, I've been hearing all this chatter about people claiming they saw Seth Rollins last night or Saturday night backstage at Survivor Series, and his arm wasn't in a sling. People thinking he might have been the mystery man in War Games. And he asks Eddie to discreetly poke around and find out what he can about these rumors. Because he's hearing all sorts of things, right? He's hearing from his own medical team that it's impossible. It cannot be Seth. He had surgery. There's no way he can climb in and out of the cage like that. But then other people insist that they saw him and he didn't have the sling on. and he looked fine. So he's asking the referee to basically be a narc and go gather information about whether or not this is true and what he's hearing, and then report back to him. That's basically the point. Like, gather as much dirt as you can and then get back to me is what he's trying to do here. And I love this because he's asking this referee on camera in front of millions of people, including all the people in the locker room, hey, this is between you and me. All right, I want you to go ahead and just gather up as much dirt as you can and then report back to me. But be very discreet about it. I don't want people to know what's going on. They're not going to talk to me because I'm the boss. But maybe they'll talk to you. And I get that it's a television show. But like right after this, like Joe Tessitore is addressing this. So like they clearly saw it. It's not like the thing about like Lucha Underground, it makes me think of Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground would have these cinematic vignettes and these behind the scenes, like backstage segments. And it's like they were in their own little universe where we could see it, right? But it was a television show and it's just sort of happening. And they would cut back into the temple, as they called it. And the announcers never acknowledged anything that ever happened in those segments because it's like they never saw them. It's like they just existed for us and nobody else. Like you never heard Matt Stryker and Vampiro mention anything coming out of a backstage segment or a cinematic like vignette. But here it's like they come back and Joe Tessitore is just talking about it. I'm like, okay, well, I guess everybody else in the locker room probably saw what he just said too. Like, what the fuck? What are we doing here? It's just so goofy. But whatever though. I mean, it's again, I'm picking nits here, but still, I just thought it was silly. So we had AJ Styles and we had Dragon Lee, AJ Lee, defending the World Tag Team titles against Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. And there was not much of a reaction for either one of these teams during the in-ring introductions, including AJ and Dragon Lee, which was kind of surprising. New Day jumped AJ before the bell. Dragon Lee got the tag and he took Kofi Kingston down with a step-up Rana. And then he jumped over the ropes in one fluid motion. And he was able to snag Xavier Woods off the apron. So an over-the-top rope Rana sent him to the floor. After a break, AJ Styles got the hot tag. Yes, the hot tag. So during the commercial break is when the heels got all the heat on Dragon Lee. By the time they came back, AJ got the hot tag. But he fell victim to a double team. Woods held Styles open for a leg drop from Kofi. Styles ended up getting a calf crusher locked on, but Woods made the save. Kofi got a near fall with a roll-up while holding the tights. Styles sent Kingston into a sit-out powerbomb from Dragon Lee for a near fall. Woods hit Styles with a super kick and then hung up Dragon Lee in the ropes, or in the corner rather. Kofi then dove in with a drop kick to Dragon Lee. And then came the finish, and the finish of this match was awesome. Finish of this match was great. Styles got Kingston hung up in the ropes, like draped over the top rope. Dragon Lee at that point jumped off the top with a double stomp to Kofi's back. And this is all Kofi. Kofi then bounced himself. The best thing I can compare it to was years ago on Raw. One of the best finishes you'll ever see. Ricochet was also draped over the top rope. Almost positive it was Ricochet. And he ended up bouncing off the ropes right into a picture-perfect Styles clash. That's basically what this was. But after the double stomp is when he bounced off the ropes, AJ caught him in perfect position for a Styles clash. But not before pointing to his partner and giving the high sign for Dragon Lee to sail over the top rope with a dive out onto Xavier Woods. And then Styles finished off Kofi Kingston with a Styles clash, and they retained the titles. So that finish got over great. You talk about, a crowd that maybe was not as into the match early on, they love that finish. That woke them the fuck up. Not that they were sleeping, but like that got the reaction that I'm sure they were hoping for. And they replayed it, and it was great. So for a team that hasn't been together, for more than half a dozen matches, I think they said, Styles and Lee, they make a hell of a team. I'm sad that AJ is hanging it up next year. I get what he says when he talks about why he's retiring next year. I'm sure he's feeling beat up, but he just doesn't want to go too long where he feels like he's not able to be the AJ Styles that people remember, right? I've heard other people like Steve Austin say that, where I don't want people to remember me as less than. Undertaker said that. Unfortunately for Undertaker, it was too late. Because there were many times watching The Undertaker in his later years where I felt like, man, this guy should not be in the ring anymore. But like during his documentary, he made that comment about, I don't want to be that guy where the dad goes to the show with his kid and says, man, you should have seen him when he was good. So I get it. I get that mentality. But Styles can still go. Like, he can get another couple of years out of it if he wanted to. And he can still go at a high level. So it's a bummer that he is pretty hell-bent on hanging it up next year when you see certain matches like this, and it's like maybe him being in a tag team can prolong his career a little bit longer, but he's pretty insistent that next year is going to be the end of the road. Backstage, Jackie Redmond interviewed the Women's World Champion, Stephanie Vicaire. After her win over Nikki Bella, Vicaire said that her victory showed that if you betray her, you get burned. Just as she wondered who would be coming next for her championship, who should show up, but Liv Morgan walks up and reminds Stephanie that she's back. And that was that. Short and sweet. I'll talk more about Stephanie a little bit later, because this is potentially becoming an issue very similar to the one that we have with the other women's world title on SmackDown. Even though they have more women on this show, the women's division is much stronger on Mondays than it is on Fridays. I think we are rapidly approaching a red alert type situation with the women's world title. But before that, we have to talk about the Vision. They were out to the ring next, led by Paul Heyman. And yes, Logan Paul was part of the crew. It was Logan Paul, it was Braun Breaker, and it was Bronson Reed. So Logan Paul is officially part of the group now. Hopefully that means he'll be on TV weekly, because I don't want to see any new members of really any faction. I don't want to see any members of the Vision that are not full-time on television most weeks, if not every week. Logan Paul has been part-time. Logan Paul comes in, he wrestles this guy, he wrestles that guy, usually has very good matches, and then he disappears for months. If you are going to have Logan Paul as part of the Vision, then he needs to be a full-time member of the Vision. I don't want to see them start adding members who are going to be on television once every blue moon. So hopefully this is a sign that he's going to be around more often. And if that's the case, I don't have an issue with him being a part of the Vision. Logan Paul fits the vision that Paul Heyman would have of these young stars who are going to lead the charge into the next era of WWE. Logan Paul would fit that bill, as would Braun Breaker. And potentially an Austin Theory if they end up adding him to the group. But he's got to be there full time. Can't have this bullshit where he's there once every 2-3 months. So Heyman started giving shout outs to every member of the winning War Games team on Saturday, including Brock Lesnar. And who knows when we'll see him again. And Drew McIntyre. Who knows when we'll see him again too. Because technically he's still suspended. Now that War Games is over, he's back on suspension. He praised Logan Paul for fitting into his vision for the future. And then came the announcement, the big announcement, that on the 1-year anniversary of the debut episode of Raw on Netflix, the first Raw of 2026 is on January 5th at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. This is what he discussed with Adam Pearce in the back earlier. Braun Breaker will challenge CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. And at that point, Braun Breaker took the mic. And this is where it got good. Took the mic, he said he's a little upset. Not because of where they are tonight, or the masked guy that tried to steal his moment on Saturday, Batman, or whoever that guy is. If that's Batman, that's the worst looking Batman costume I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. But yes, he wasn't sure who it was. But this person tried to steal his thunder, almost tried to ruin his moment in War Games. Now, what he's upset about is how easy it was for him to beat CM Punk. He thought that he would have to find a different level, a different gear that he's never been at before to beat the guy that he watched on TV as a kid, only to realize that CM Punk is nothing but a soft-ass bitch. Punk is no different than any of these other guys living off their past glory, like that narcissistic piece of garbage Seth Rollins, holding everyone else down when really he should be worried about the war going on inside his own home, that his wife is a bigger star than he is. Also, I should mention that no Becky Lynch on Raw tonight because Becky Lynch is boycotting Raw. She's boycotting the show after what happened on Saturday, where everybody is claiming that she tapped out to AJ Lee. She insists that she did not tap out. I believe she said that she was waiting for her partners to come over. So she is boycotting the show. So she also was not there tonight. But he said on January 5th, it'll be a different kind of fight. Punk tried to break his neck and ruin his life on Saturday. So he's going to ruin Punk's life. And now he's getting hot. He's getting animated. And he had a jacket on and he pulls the jacket off. Right now he's getting all fired up. He said, listen to me, Punk. I'm going to ruin your life. I'm coming for your career. I'm coming for every good memory that these people remember you for. I'm coming for it all. And oh, I didn't forget. This is for you, by the way. He forgot. I hope you're watching at home. You remember last year at WrestleMania backstage when you came up to me in the back in the hallway and you said, well, congratulations on all the success, kid. Let's see if you can cut a promo with the big dogs now. He said, well, la-di-da. Consider the promo cut. Because on January 5th, when you're on your ass looking up at the lights and I'm standing over you and they announce me as the new heavyweight champion of the world, you will look into my eyes with your beady, stupid face and realize that you are not even close to the badass Braun Breaker, the real best in the world. And he slammed the microphone down. And even Logan Paul, the segment was over, but Logan Paul on the mic in the background, even Logan Paul was like, damn. And Breaker stormed off while the rest of the Vision stayed back in the ring and applauded. Damn indeed. That was a hell of a little promo there from Braun Breaker. He didn't overstay his welcome. It wasn't long-winded. There were limited what chants as it went on. It wasn't anything overwhelming, and he didn't give them a chance to... Because you know why? He talks like a normal fucking person. It's what annoys the shit out of me with some of these promos that these people cut. There are people on the roster who, when the what chants begin, because of the way they speak in sound bites where they give the fans a chance to like cut in between sentences. That's not how real people speak. When you do that, you're just inviting the fans to sabotage your promo. And then at that point, it becomes less of a promo and more of a competition between you and the fans, where you're either trying to speed through the promo or you have to incorporate it into your promo. And it's just, this has been going on now for 25 years. In this case, he didn't give them a chance to do that. He stood in the middle of the ring. He stared right into the camera. He was all intense. And he cut a promo on this guy like a normal person would cut a promo on somebody. He is getting the biggest opportunity of his career on January 5th. And he stood in the middle of that ring tonight. And he made it very clear that I'm coming for you. I'm coming for that championship. I haven't forgot the way that you big leagued me at WrestleMania last year. So I'm going to put you down. You tried to ruin my life, right? With that doomsday device on Saturday. He almost broke his fucking neck. You tried to break my neck. I'm going to break yours. I'm going to put you down on your ass. And I'm going to prove that I'm the best in the world, right? Turning Punk's own slogan, his own catchphrase around on him. This promo was exactly what it needed to be. It was a money promo. And I'm glad that they're not making us wait for WrestleMania, because everybody the last couple of days has been speculating about, okay, clearly they're going to do this match. When are they going to do the match, right? Dave Meltzer the other night. That's the planned main event for one of the nights of WrestleMania next year. And who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe this is the first of many matches they're going to have. Remember, a year ago, the debut Raw on Netflix. Do you remember what the main event of that show was? CM Punk was in that main event too. It was CM Punk against Seth Rollins. We got it on January 6th, right, of this year. And we got it at WrestleMania. And we got it in a cage in between also. but they were in the main event of WrestleMania together with Roman Reigns. It was a triple threat match. We could very well be looking at a situation where if Seth Rollins is back in time for WrestleMania, we're going to get Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. It'll be a triple threat match. It'll be like this year all over again, only you substitute Braun Breaker for Roman Reigns. That's a very real possibility for one of the nights of WrestleMania next year. But this is match number 1. There's going to be at least 2. This is match number 1 between them on January 5th. And they're starting off the year with a big match, right? That's a big match to do on that show. Even if he doesn't win the title there, and there's a very good chance he does, but even if he doesn't win the championship on that show, they should run it back at the Royal Rumble. I really don't care to wait until WrestleMania to see that championship migrate over to Braun Breaker. I think the time is now. I thought the time was Saturday night's main event. Frankly, after Seth got hurt, they chose to put it on Punk. I guess they wanted to give Punk the title run. They wanted to give the Punk fans out there because he got screwed over so many times, right? Punk got fucked over at WrestleMania. He got fucked over at SummerSlam. We'll throw him a bone. We'll give Punk a little run with the belt. Fine. January 5th, if it's me, I'm doing a title change on that show. I'm starting the new year off in a way that just punches you in the fucking face and says, this is how you kick off a brand new year with a brand new world heavyweight champion. And I could absolutely see them holding off on the big reveal of the mystery man until that show. And that person, right, whoever it is, that person factors into the finish of the match, could very well cost CM Punk the World Heavyweight Championship. But they could very well run that match back at the Royal Rumble and have a non-finish on that show. So either way, I'm glad we're not waiting for the first match until WrestleMania. I think Braun Breaker, one way or the other, is going to end up with that World Heavyweight Championship, which makes sense, I think, because if Seth Rollins is going to come back and be a babyface or a tweener, you know, he's going to be looking to get that belt back. He could try to get it back from Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is the one who kicked him out of the Vision. Frankly, it would make sense for him to end up with that World Championship no later than WrestleMania. So for Braun Breaker, again, the promo he cut tonight I thought was very good. Was it the best promo of the year? No. And he's not an elite level talker the way that CM Punk is. But this is the first time that I can recall where we've really been able to hear from him one-on-one in this way. And it was kind of an extended promo. It wasn't too long, but it was more of an extended promo than we usually get from him. And he will get better over time, you know, the more comfortable he gets in that position. But this is the sort of thing I was hoping for after the turn on Rollins. And we didn't get it then. So let's see more of that now. Let him go out there and let him just rip on people. He does it in his matches. And it's entertaining. You know, he'll mock guys and try to be a little funny. He'll basically be a dick during his matches. I want to see him cut more promos like this. That's what I want to see. I thought this was great. In the back, Jey Uso was leaving the arena when Jackie Redmond tried to grab a word with him and asked him how he's feeling after his loss earlier tonight. Jey ignores her and keeps on walking, and Jackie is very persistent. She asks about the masked man, no response. Then she lets Jey know that Braun Breaker is now #1 contender for the world title. Jey stops and he says, I don't want to rip on him too much, but I'm watching him. I'm listening to him. I'm watching his facial expressions. And I don't know if he was trying to act a certain way. It just came off very, I don't know, it came off very awkward. But he's standing there and he says he doesn't give a damn about Braun or the Vision. There's a lot of, and Jay's another one, by the way. He's not the only one, but he's another one who talks in sound bites during his promos. Drives me nuts. He says there's a lot of people in his head that need to get out. Says the only person to blame, though, is the man looking back at him in the mirror. Roman said it best. Those titles look best on his shoulders, not mine. And he walked off. Are they trying to get us to sympathize with Jey Uso? Because at least in the case of this guy here, that ain't going to work. You could try, You could try, but I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go over. They're trying to build sympathy for this man. This man just had the best year of his career. He won the Royal Rumble. He went to WrestleMania and won the World Heavyweight Championship. He spent the majority of 2025 as a main event attraction. Right? He was just a part of the War Games match again at Survivor Series. I mean, what is there to really feel sorry for him for? I mean, all right, he's had a couple of losses. So what? He just had the best year of his career. I don't feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for fucking LA Knight. That's who you should feel sorry for. I feel sorry for Penta, who got hurt last week and got bounced out of the tournament. Like, there are people on the roster to feel and characters to feel sorry for. Jey Uso is not one of those people. You get no sympathy out of me. I'm sorry. And the other semifinal match of the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. Goth Jay. Are we going to see Jey Uso put some of that face paint on and sit up in the rafters and be all solemn and be all sad? Oh, man. But he doesn't win all the time. What about that? Yeah, I know. You got to win every match. Anyway, Gunther against Solo Sikoa. I mentioned Penta. Penta got hurt last week. I don't get the impression that Penta is seriously injured where he's going to be out for a long time. I haven't heard anything as far as when they expect him back. Kairi has not heard anything as far as when he's expected back. Boots had a big night on Saturday during Survivor Series. He helped get us to that RSPW Rewind goal, which I am working on this week. Speaking of which, we are at 9 out of 15 on the bonus goal. Keep it up a little bit more. But Boots, thank you, brother. He said, during the sound off intro, I thought it was Shivani saying, is that Pat Patterson? Holy mackerel. Did he get fat? On Sunday morning while watching WrestleFest 94 on the Vault, I learned it was Gorilla Monsoon. Of course it's Gorilla Monsoon. That doesn't sound like Tony Schiavone. Yeah, that's from the post-match after the Harts and the Steiners, which, by the way, that match is part of the WrestleFest 94 video that just dropped on the Vault this weekend, the Coliseum home video. A rare match between the Hart Foundation, I say the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Owen Hart against the Steiner brothers. Great fucking match. But there's a big schmoz there when the match is over and Pat Patterson comes out. And Monsoon would always take little pot shots on commentary. He's like, holy cow. Is that Hall of Famer Pat Patterson? Boy, did he get fat. Yep, that's where it's from. Mystery solved. Penta got hurt last week. Solo Sikoa got a win by default, by forfeit. And I said, man, we were deprived of a Gunther Penta match here in the semifinals because there's no way that they would intentionally book Gunther and Solo Sikoa, two heels, to go to the semifinals of this tournament. And then Brian Alvarez and Sean Ross Sapp and others said, no, the plan was always for Solo to go over. I'm not so sure about that. But let's say even if that's the case, why would you do that, right? It's the better of the two matches. Gunther and Penta, it just makes sense. So I didn't have very high expectations coming into this match. Wade Barrett suggested on commentary that beating John Cena in his final match would be the equivalent of ending the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania, which I'm not so sure I agree with that analogy. I know what he was going for. I get it. This version of John Cena is hardly unstoppable. So I don't know that I would go comparing the two that directly. But again, they're trying to get over what a big deal it is to be in the ring with John Cena in his final match. And it is. It's a big deal to be able to call yourself John Cena's last ever opponent, right? That is a big deal. Not a lot of heat for this early on, as you would imagine with two heels in the ring. The two men exchanged shoulder blocks. Solo put Gunther down flat on his back. Gunther responded with a big boot that sent Solo out to the floor, and that sent the show to a commercial break. During the break, Tala Tonga, who was at ringside, he tripped up Gunther while he was trying to get back in the ring, and that allowed Solo to take control with the always exciting nerve hold. Gunther started chopping away. He blocked a body slam attempt. He tried to slam Solo, but he couldn't hold him up and he fell backwards. So that allowed Solo to get a near fall. Solo went to the top rope and Gunther caught him with a chop, superplexed him. Both men got to their feet. They started exchanging chops and strikes. Gunther hit a boot. Solo hit a super kick. Neither man went down. So finally, Solo hits a spike to the throat out of nowhere. And both men are down again. And the crowd now is really starting to come around. Now the crowd is starting to invest in this. After a second commercial break, Solo hit Gunther with a running hip attack in the corner. He charged for a second one. Gunther, though, bounced out with a clothesline. Solo backdropped out of a powerbomb attempt, but Gunther hit a second clothesline for a near fall. Gunther went for the powerbomb again. Solo countered into a Samoan drop for a near fall. And now Solo is telegraphing that he is going for the Samoan spike. Gunther, though, chopped him high on the chest. It was like a chop that came out of nowhere. And the way Solo sold it was great. And he followed with a flurry of chops in the corner. Like he's a fucking Kobashi over here. But then he walked into a spinning Solo, the Uranagi. Solo headed up top, came flying off with an Uso splash, and he got a near fall. And now the crowd was really into this. Like they bought into that near fall. I dare say I could have sworn that I even heard some Solo chants, and I don't think they were for me. I heard some Solo chants here. There were some Gunther chants too, but there were definitely some mixed chants from the crowd. Sikoa went for the spike again. Gunther spun behind him. He locked in the sleeper. Solo made it to the corner to force a break. Gunther, though, gave him a German suplex. So now Tala Tonga, he got up on the apron. He lures Gunther to the floor. Caught him with a boot to the face. And now Tala Tonga is holding Gunther for Solo, who comes outside. And Solo's going to give him a Samoan spike. The referee sees this, and he comes over and he asks Solo if he thought he was stupid. Well, I mean, you're a referee, so do you really want him to answer that question? I don't think you do. So instead of delivering the Samoan spike, Gunther kicks him in the face, kicks him away. And then Gunther lifts his leg behind him to low blow Tala Tonga. Then he grabs Solo Sikoa's spike hand and he slams it down on the apron. Back inside, the referee was still occupied with Tala Tonga, and so because the referee was distracted, that gave Gunther an opportunity to kick Solo in the dick, which is something that we normally do not see Gunther doing. Gunther is a man of honor. He's a man of integrity, right? The ring is sacred. The mat is sacred. But now you do what you got to do to get to the next round. And what's good for one is good for the other. I think even on commentary, they said this is a battle of who's going to cheat best. So he kicks him in the dick, gives him a power bomb, and he pins him to advance to the finals of this tournament. LA Knight comes out after the match is over. Not to his music or anything. He just comes down to the ring. He gets inside. The two of them go face to face. Gunther never said anything. LA Knight did all the talking and basically, he talked some shit and said that was impressive, but I don't really give a damn. I'm going to drop you. I'm going to beat you on Friday on SmackDown. And he left the ring without incident. There was no pull-apart brawl. Gunther didn't respond. It was very straightforward stuff. Well, that exceeded my expectations. And I said this on Twitter during the show. Yeah, I said Gunther had to be a mailman in another lifetime because every time this man is out there, he delivers. Every single match that he has had in this tournament has delivered. Javon Evans, Carmelo Hayes, Solo Sikoa. Sheamus says banger after banger after banger. Well, Gunther could say the same thing. Banger after banger after banger. And I knew what to expect in those matches. I thought I knew what to expect here in this match. That's kind of what I was worried about. That it was just going to be, yeah, got two bigger guys in there, but like it's just going to be a clash of styles, and it's just not a very interesting match, and it's heel on heel. And credit to both these guys. I don't want to make it sound like it's all Gunther. Like, the guy always has really good matches, and so this was no different. He carried Solo to a great match. Gunther did his part, but so did Solo Sikoa. He held up his end of the deal. He had a very good match. I think, frankly, the best singles match I've seen him have since he got called up to the main roster. He's been on the main roster now for 3 years, right? When was Clash at the Castle? 22, right? September 2022, I believe. Over 3 years, he's been on the main roster. I can't think of another match, another singles match that he has had that was as enjoyable and as good as the one that he had with Gunther tonight. Sometimes it just comes down to who you're in the ring with. There was no story here. This was not about story. There's no storyline between these two. They're not even on the same fucking show. And if you don't believe the reports, it may not have even been originally planned. But it's the match we got tonight, and they just put them in there, and they just went in there, and they just had a fight. They had a hoss fight. A lot of back and forth, a lot of near falls that the fans actually bid on. They bought into it. And it ended up being the best thing on the entire show. This is a very enjoyable match. This was great. So Gunther is moving on, which we all knew he would be. They're doing the finals on Friday on SmackDown. Gunther is going to beat LA Knight. I don't know what they do with LA Knight. I don't get the sense that Triple H really has a great plan for where to go next with LA Knight. And as over and popular as LA Knight is, I wouldn't even be against the heel turn. If it meant getting him more of a sustained push, if him going heel was going to put him in a better position where, okay, he's got all these baby faces to work with, but we don't have room for him to work with any heels right now, then fine, turn him heel. Do whatever needs to be done, because he can work as a baby face, he can work as a heel. Honestly, he's more of a heel, if we're being honest. He's a better heel than a baby face. But I don't know how this man is not in the mix doing more. And I don't know how you're not tapping into his promo skills, right? Forget even just the matches. Why is he not involved in something that puts him front and center on these shows on the mic, right? That's really his strong point. We're going into this new year, and I would like to think that, okay, as we head into 2026, right, we've got to come up with a great idea for what direction we're going to go in with this guy and get him involved somewhere. I don't know where that is, but I would hope they can come up with some sort of plan for him. I am shocked that he is still as over as he is, despite them failing to really do much of anything with him. And I think it speaks to, you know, whatever this connection is that he has with the audience, right? He clearly has some sort of connection with the fans, but they just don't tap into it enough. They got their guys that are in the world title picture right now, and so there's no room for him there. Doesn't even have to be in the world title picture, but for the love of God, can we come up with something worthwhile, you know, for him to do? I mean, when they had Matt Cardona show up on SmackDown a few weeks ago as Zack Ryder, and LA Knight beat him, and then LA Knight confronted him in the back. This was like a YouTube thing. And, you know, basically said, hey, it's good. I don't know if you're going or coming, but it's good to see you, right? Good to have you back. And there's a joke about how you put the two together and make them a new tag team and call them Knight Rider, which sounds silly as all hell. But you know what? Like, even something like that, I think that could work. I think that could work. Can you imagine? Like, they end up getting together as a team. Knight doesn't really want to have anything to do with this guy, but somehow they end up being a team. And it's one of those things where as the weeks go on, you know, he's kind of annoyed by Ryder, doesn't really want to have anything to do with him. But then he kind of warms up to him, and even something like that could get over. And then coming out of that, you know, who knows where you may go with him. Like, I'm just trying to come up with something, you know, that would get him out there, you know, on television every single week doing just something on these shows. I hope. I hope they can come up with something. Yeah, like Rock and Sock. I mean, it's the same idea. Like a Rock and Sock type of dynamic. I mean, that's not going to please all the LA Knight fans who, of course, want to see him as the world heavyweight champion if you put him in a fucking tag team. But I just hope. I hope they can come up with something for him to do. That's all I can say. In the back, and by the way, there's a whole segment from the podcast this weekend, and the clip is up on the YouTube channel right now, as far as Gunther against John Cena on Saturday night's main event. I think that there have been so many missteps along the way in this John Cena retirement tour. There's been some great stuff, and there's been a lot of not so great stuff. And when you have somebody that you are calling the greatest of all time, right? That's what they call him, the greatest of all time. You would think that with all the advance notice that they had that John Cena was wrestling his final year this year, and Triple H knew about this, right? At least 6 months in advance. You would think that this is the one thing we would not fuck up. So it is hard to fathom the fucking mistakes that they made along the way here in this retirement tour and the matches we didn't get, even though they had a year to do all these different matches. I know they had him for limited dates, but still. But like, he just lost at Survivor Series to Dom. He got screwed out of the Intercontinental Championship. He's going into his final match. I am coming around to the idea that the best thing to do, frankly, give the guy a win. Of course, John Cena does not need to win. He doesn't need a win. And yes, Gunther beating him would be a nice feather in his cap, right? He retired Bill Goldberg, and he could say, I did the same thing to John Cena. But you know what? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And no matter who wins or loses here, no one's really going to get hurt by it. John Cena is bulletproof. It's his last match. If he loses, right? If you think that John Cena is the greatest of all time, him losing his last match isn't going to change anything about that. John Cena winning, though, would give the fans that happy moment that I think a lot of them are looking for here at the very end, after having some not so happy moments, frankly, on this retirement tour, including Saturday. I think John Cena beating Gunther, frankly, is probably, just in terms of giving the fans what they want, that's the way to go. I think that would be the proper ending after all this. Let the guy get a fucking win. Let Dominic Mysterio go around and be able to say, you know what? I may not have been the last opponent, but I was the last guy to actually beat John Cena. Gunther could use it, sure, but he doesn't need it. Right? He doesn't really need it. Unless the idea is to do Gunther and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Brock squashed Cena at WrestlePalooza. If Gunther beats Cena at Saturday night's main event, now you have the battle between two guys who could say they both beat John Cena. Maybe that's the idea behind it. I don't know. I'm just saying, though, for all of this nonsense that we've seen, I'm a lot more open to the idea of Cena winning than I would have been a few months ago, where if you would have told me, oh, Cena has to win, I would have been like, what are you, out of your fucking mind? Now I'm coming around to the idea that, you know what? We probably should just let the fans have that moment. Just let them have that moment. Just imagine how bummed they'll fucking be if after what we saw on Saturday, he goes in there and loses again. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Throw him a bone. Sometimes it's just the right thing to do. In the back, Adam Pearce met again with his mole, Eddie Arango, who said that he didn't find out anything new about the Masked Man, other than a lot of people say they saw Seth Rollins backstage on Saturday. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, they arrive on the scene here, and Styles let Pearce know that Seth Rollins was seen running around without his arm in a sling. But really, AJ is here because he wants to let Pearce know the two of them, they want to defend their tag team titles. And Pearce says, I like hearing that. When? He goes, next week. He's like, against who? And Dragon Lee butts in, and he recommends the War Raiders, because the War Raiders never got their rematch for the World Tag Team title. Are we sure about that, by the way? I'm not so sure they didn't get their rematch, but it claimed that they never got their rematch for the titles. Now, I want to point out to you that These are the titles that the War Raiders lost, okay, at WrestleMania 8 months ago. Oh, they never got their rematch. I think they deserve a shot at the titles. It's like they woke up out of a fucking coma and it's like, oh, wait a minute. The War Raiders never got their rematch. We should probably give them a rematch 8 months later for the tag team titles. Okay. So we have a tag team title match next week. What was the last time we even saw the War Raiders on TV? Like, I'm struggling to even remember when was the last time we saw them on Monday Night Raw? But I guess AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, they're fighting champions. And also, let's be honest, they don't have a lot of other teams in the division. They beat the New Day. They're going to wrestle the War Raiders. We know the Judgment Day are there. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, they're not really a regular tag team. I don't count them. What other teams am I missing? What other teams are there on Monday Night Raw that I'm missing, Ray? I'm sure there must be one or two that I'm not thinking of. It's not like there's a whole lot of competition in that tag team division. You got to be careful here. You're going to burn through every potential challenger that you have if they're going to be defending these titles every single week on TV. Rey Mysterio, he spoke with Jackie Redmond backstage, who told him that he would be wrestling Finn Balor on the show next week. Rey said that he had no problem going through the Judgment Day one member at a time before he gets to his son. The Creeds. No, the Creeds don't count. The Creeds have not been on Raw for months and months. They're in like fucking NXT, aren't they? Dude, are the Creeds even officially members of the roster anymore? Remember what Chad Gable said when he got hurt and he was leaving and he said, you guys have to hold down the fort. And then all the members of Alpha Academy basically vanished. They just disappeared. They did such a terrible job of doing what Chad Gable asked them to do. They just disappeared. Only recently has Ivy Nile even reappeared. What an awful faction. I would fire them all if I were Chad Gable. Yeah, they're on Raw. Okay, well, maybe it's a different company hosting a different episode of Raw, because I can't tell you the last time I saw the Creeds on Monday Night Raw. So I don't know what show you're watching. And I don't give a shit what the roster page says. But they haven't been on the show. They ain't part of the show. I ain't counting them as part of the tag team division. So you basically just answered my question for me. There are no other teams. The LWO. Okay, the LWO. That's about it. That's a piss poor tag team division right there. Jackie asked Rey about whether he would be interested in making another run at the Intercontinental title, which of course he said he would. So that's when Logan Paul showed up and told Rey that the title belongs to the Vision. Told Rey that he needed to step back. And then Rey called Logan a pendejo. It just makes me laugh. And Paul said that he would retire Rey, who then slapped him across the face. And some producers got in between them to hold both men back. The main event was Rhea Ripley and Io Sky against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. The match started and almost immediately went to a commercial. After the break, Ripley had Bliss locked in a submission that Bliss was able to escape. Rhea then accidentally collided with Charlotte and sent her to the floor. Io then caught Bliss with a flapjack. Ripley and Flair, they ended up getting tags. And they really built this up like, oh, here we go. My big WrestleMania rematch here. So they started exchanging forearms. Flair went to the chops to get the advantage. Finally, Ripley ducked a chop and caught Flair with a headbutt. Flair sent Ripley into the turnbuckles. Rhea, though, caught Charlotte with a kick, and both women were down. So after another commercial, Flair sent Ripley to the floor, but Io caught her with a Meteora. Ripley came in and tried to lift up Charlotte in a powerbomb position, but she over-rotated, and both women fell down. Oops. So Ripley picked her back up. They redid the spot. She gave Charlotte a razor's edge, which Charlotte proceeded to no-sell when she immediately got back up to her feet so that she could feed for Io's missile drop kick, because Io was perched up top, ready to drop. I mean, Charlotte had no choice. She had to get back up to her feet because Io was on top waiting for her. But yeah, she just completely blew off the razor's edge there. Ripley went for a riptide. Flair countered into a DDT. Bliss got the tag and hit another DDT for a near fall. You know, RVD used to be the king of the DDT cell. Really the pile driver cell. But I will say this, Rhea is the queen. Every DDT that this woman takes, she sells it like death. Doesn't matter who is giving it to her. Doesn't matter from what position it's delivered in. She gets spiked, it looks like right on the crown of her head, and she just sells it great. There's nobody who sells a DDT in wrestling today better than Rhea Ripley. So Alexa went for Twisted Bliss. Ripley got her knees up. Flair and Io got tags. Flair put her down with a boot, hit natural selection. Bliss followed up with Sister Abigail, but Ripley broke up the pin attempt. Bliss tried for Sister Abigail again, the DDT, but Ripley escaped and hit a headbutt, which is unfair, by the way, because she's wearing that mask. She should not be allowed to do that. Rhea hit Riptide. Io followed up with her Genius of the Sky moonsault, but Flair broke up the pin attempt, and with everybody down, the Kabuki Warriors hit the ring to ruin things. They came down, attacked Charlotte, dumped her to the floor. Then they sent Ripley into the post and sent her to the floor. And they rang the bell and they threw the match out. So that was the end of our main event. Whether it was a disqualification, I assume it's just a no contest. That's how they always basically end these matches, just a no contest. It's like the match never even happened. Lyra, Valkyria, and Bayley, they ran out to attack the champions. Then the women from the Judgment Day ran out. They attacked everybody. Lyra was standing on top of the announce desk. She was about to hit a move on somebody. Liv Morgan, they came out of the crowd, I guess, and Liv Morgan swept her legs, yanked her legs out from under her. In the ring, Raquel Rodriguez gave Asuka the Tejana Bomb. Roxanne hit Bayley with Pop Rocks. Rodriguez and Perez grabbed the tag team belts. Liv gets in the ring, and Roxanne looks at her and goes to hand her one of the tag belts. And Liv looks at Roxanne, and she says, "No, you take it." So she allows Roxanne to have the belt. Liv stands in between them, and everything is great. In the Judgment Day, everybody's on the same page. The Judgment Day, the ladies of the Judgment Day stand tall. Liv Morgan gets up in the camera. That's the parting shot that we got at the end of the show. She's smiling, she's cackling, and that's how Raw goes off the air. Liv appeared in 3 different segments on this show tonight. She was out there for the Judgment Day meeting in the ring. She was there at the end of the show. That's the last face that we saw. And also that backstage segment, brief as it was, with Stephanie Vicaire. So she was all over the show tonight. They were having a good one here in the main event until the finish. And obviously we had a shitty finish there. But they put a very clear focus on the women's tag team division, which was good. We have 5 different teams out there that were represented. And I think if you throw in the Secret Hervis, we basically only have 6 teams on the main roster. I mean, not counting, Sol Ruka and Zarya or anybody from NXT, which technically I guess you should count them though, because, well, you know what? I guess you should, because technically those tag team titles can be defended across all brands. So you got Sol Ruka and Zarya. I guess on SmackDown now, you've got Nia Jax and Lash Legend, right? So that would make 7. No, that would make 8. All of a sudden, we have a division here. Look at that. We actually have a tag team division, a real division here for these women's tag team titles. I count 8 teams if you include, NXT in things. And that doesn't even include Fatal Influence. If you want to throw them in there too, that's 9. So I like that. They put a focus on that there at the end. But they are clearly holding off on any drama between Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. There were no issues before with Liv and Raquel. The issue was really percolating between Liv and Roxanne before Liv got hurt, and they never really had the chance to blow that up into something bigger. So that's what I was looking for on the show tonight, and they're not doing it. which is a shame because it would make the Judgment Day segments a little more interesting. But, it's fine. I mean, she just came back. So they're basically starting from scratch. They want to tell that story and build to whatever the issues are going to end up being that will eventually boil over between the members of the Judgment Day. So I don't really have too much of an issue with that. But if Raquel and Roxanne are bound for the tag team titles, let's say that they're going to make those titles, clearly you saw that at the end of the show tonight, right? They're going to make those titles their target. That does not leave Stephanie Vicaire with a whole lot in the way of competition for her Women's World Championship, because at Survivor Series, she beat Nikki Bella handily. It was one and done, right? No more between Stephanie and Nikki Bella. Been there, done that. Thanks for coming. So now with Nikki in the rear view, it felt like we were heading towards Stephanie and Raquel, maybe Stephanie and Roxanne. I mean, I guess they still could, but let's assume they're going to focus on the tag belts. It's like, is Liv Morgan really the only option that we have here? I mean, are they just going to go right into Liv Morgan, which they certainly teased it, but are they going to go right into Liv Morgan challenging Stephanie for the Women's World Championship? She just came back. She hasn't even wrestled the match yet. I don't know that I would go immediately, into that as a program, but I feel like we're kind of trending towards what we have on Friday, where Jade Cargill has that WWE Championship and not a whole lot of competition for it. So I don't know what their plans are as far as Stephanie's next feud. If they really are just going immediately into Liv, or if they'll go at one of the other members of the Judgment Day, which is what I would do. I mean, I would go into Stephanie and Roxanne. So we'll see where things go there. Stephanie, her time on these shows is very, very limited. I mean, I understand that, her English, she's working on her English, and so she's not going to be out there cutting these long promos, but, she is one of your top champions on the brand. She is very popular. And I just feel like she's almost hidden away on these shows. Even in the lead up to when she beat Io to win the championship, we barely saw her on TV. And ever since she won the championship, it feels like we barely see her on TV. She's not really all that heavily focused on. I think that's a problem. If she's your Women's World Champion, then she should be on the show in a more prominent way. Whether it's wrestling matches in the ring, whether it's just, I don't know, coming out and doing commentary and scouting potential opponents, whatever it may be. I'd like to see her more often on these shows and more heavily focused on. But as far as the show overall, I thought it was a good show. It was not an epic show, but we had a really good match with Gunther and Solo Sikoa. We had a good tag team main event with a good focus on the women's tag division. We had a great promo from Braun Breaker, the big announcement of the World Championship match coming up on January 5th. So there was good stuff. There was good stuff on this show that can now build as we head into Royal Rumble season. That's the next PLE, everybody. The Royal Rumble, the very end of January. We still have, how many weeks? 9 weeks? We got a ways to go before we get to the Rumble. But of course, we have Saturday night's main event first. That's coming up on December 13th. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll, see what you guys thought of Monday Night Raw after Survivor Series. We got over 1,700 popping here on a Monday night. 56.3% thumbs up, 43.7%. Look at that, changing in real time. 43.8% thumbs down. Slightly positive score. Not a terribly overwhelmingly positive score there, but more thumbs up than thumbs down for the show. So at Solomonster on X is where you guys can go to vote. Let me know what you thought of the show tonight. And let me know what you thought of the show here too. I'm going to get to your super chats now. The in-ring was solid. Hunter needs to learn that people take words and promises seriously. Yeah, I don't think he gives a shit. Either that or he thinks everything is epic. Everything he does is epic. It's cinema. It's cinema. Let him cook. What other terrible words can we use that people love to use? Look at that. We're 2 away. We are 2 $10 or higher super chats away from bonus. Be the booker. Will we get there? We'll see. You're getting at least one.
My curiosity is killing me just like a cat would be killed by the curiosity, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Always good to hear the Macho Man's voice. I love this song. All right, here we go. Joseph. I'm gonna try to shoot out some rapid fire answers at Joseph here, who hit me with a bunch of them before I went live. So let's see if I can answer your question. First of all, he said he's very excited for Liv Dom tonight. So he's a big Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio fan. You got your Liv Dom tonight, so you should be happy. I've answered the question about Dominic in like movies and stuff. I don't see him in an Addams Family movie. I don't think he needs to be in one of those. I think we could shoot a little bit higher than that. Do I think Dom and Liv are becoming one of WWE's greatest couples of all time? I mean, they're a very good couple on TV. All time is a very long time. All time, no. But they make a good combo on TV right now, in the here and now. Not going to rank where they land all time. Do I think? No, I don't think he'd make a good Spider-Man. With Dom pinning Cena and Braun pinning Punk, do you think WWE is making a message saying that both Dom and Braun are the next top 2 guys in WWE's future? Yeah, I think they're making a statement for sure that they have a lot of faith and trust in these guys. You know, they're giving them some big wins. I mean, Cena and Punk are 2 of the biggest stars that they got. Anybody who beats them, you would think that bodes well for their future. But of course, people said that about Austin Theory and didn't exactly work out that way. But yeah, I think that bodes well for their future. I think the WWE sees them in that upper mix long term, you know, for many years to come. So they're kind of trying to get them primed and ready for that spot. What are your thoughts on people saying that Dominic Mysterio and Braun Breaker, oh my God, are the next Rock and Austin of WWE in the future? I would tell these people to put down the paint chips. First of all, I think that you do a great disservice when you make comparison, and not necessarily you, but whoever's making these comments, you do a great disservice to these 2 guys because you're putting them in an impossible position. There will never be another Rock in Austin. Never. And so to compare them to Rock in Austin, if the comparison is not so much to them specifically, but just, oh, are they the next 2 big baby faces or the next big heel baby face kind of combo that the company builds itself around? I mean, that's a little bit different. And the answer is no, by the way, on that. No matter which way you slice this question, the answer is no. And it's not an indictment of either one of them. It's just a terrible, terrible, unfair comparison to make. People have been compared to Rock or Austin over the years. Like, is this guy the next Austin? It's like, I would hate to have that label because it's just, you're putting them in an impossible position. There will never be another Stone Cold. I did not know that. I did not know that about the Batman thing. Do you remember the WWE magazine from '97 with Mankind and Goldust on the cover? I do. I have it, in fact. What is my favorite Triple H and Chyna moment? Favorite Triple H and Chyna moment? I maybe, I don't know, maybe WrestleMania 15 when Triple H turned heel on X-Pac and reunited with China. That was kind of an interesting, almost like a double turn type thing they did at WrestleMania that year. I don't know, maybe that. I can't think of like another singular moment between them that I liked. Congrats to Mark Merrow, who is getting married this month. Oh, okay, very nice. Congrats to Mark Merrow. Getting remarried, I guess. Sonic 4, what are my thoughts? I gotta be honest with you, I didn't see Sonic 3. I knew they were making a Sonic 4, though. I don't know that I'll be seeing it, but I know Sonic 4 is coming out in 2027. I know Idris Elba is coming back, right? He's Knuckles, right? He does the voice of Knuckles in the movie. Carrie as Dr. Eggman, yeah, I'm indifferent towards it. And no, I did not know that he almost played Dr. Evil. Do you think Roman Reigns against CM Punk will be the match at WrestleMania? I don't. I would prefer it. I would prefer it over what is supposedly planned for WrestleMania. But no, I don't think it's happening at WrestleMania. And happy heavenly birthday to Kevin Conroy. His birthday was yesterday, yes. I was very sad when I learned that he passed away. I don't have a favorite moment in honestly in that animated series, unless you count the Mask of the Phantasm. Does that count? I'll go with that one. And I you know what? I get a lot of questions about it. I probably should go back and watch it. It does get a lot of praise, that series, so I may have to watch it for myself. Favorite Sean Connery movie is The Hunt for Red October. Do I think Triple H marrying Stephanie, that storyline, still would have happened if Austin did not have neck surgery? Interesting. Interesting question. Would that have happened? I'm going to say yes. I think it still would have happened. Cheer? Yeah, I like Cheers. Frasier, not so much. I never watched it. And yes, I did know that about Kelsey Grammer. Is there a possibility John Cena goes into the WWE Hall of Fame next year? I think there's a very good possibility that John Cena is going into the Hall of Fame next year. Happy December 1st. I can't believe it's December. I enjoyed your Survivor Series review on Saturday and hope you have a blessed day today. Well, Joseph, I appreciate that very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the review. Bonnie and Clyde or Mickey and Mallory? Mickey and Mallory. Yeah, Mickey and Mallory. You know the way I would describe that buy or sell? Bonnie and Clyde is like WWE. Mickey and Mallory is like AEW. If you know, you know. I think you'll get the comparison. Awesome, iconic. That bald fraud lied. I wasted my evening. Somebody was not very happy about being promised an epic show and not getting one. The bald fraud. I thought Rock was the bald fraud. Isn't that what Punk called him? Joseph. Punk wearing the Halloween 3 masks last night. You know, somebody mentioned that. I didn't even notice it the first time. I had to go back and see it. That was actually very cool. Somehow I missed that the first time when he came out on Saturday. Bland Dry Chicken and Turkey. I got a chance to hear you and everybody else review the Survivor Series. My thoughts? I'm glad AEW Blood and Guts killed my interest. Also, Triple H was never an impartial booker. He doesn't care about WWE. He's only talking within his own best interest. He needs a 6-month paid vacation.
I am the learning tree.
Oh, the learning tree has sprouted.
Thanks, guys.
He has sprouted from the soil. Justin G with a $12 learning tree. This guy rhymed. Thank you, Justin. We're 14 out of 15 on the goal, by the way. One more. Who's going to be the hero? We got Ollie. Epic Raw, my ass. Sidro with a 5. New autopsies discover Albert Einstein died of a blood clot in the brain. It was a stroke of genius. What do you call karate for... Oh, that's terrible. Amputees, partial arts. Oh my God. Sidro, you got to take SPF 100. You keep going down this road, that's where you're going to be headed. Sidra, why is it prohibited to do the reverse cowgirl in Alabama? See, no, you can't take my joke. You cannot take my joke. I'm not letting you steal it. I said it first. You stole my joke. You can't do that. I've already used that joke here on the show before. I used it on TNT also. You got it from me. He's stealing my jokes. Did you hear about the guy who dipped his balls in glitter? Pretty nuts. That is pretty nuts, yeah. Sure. You thief. You're a joke thief. It's terrible. All right, here we go. I'm trying to refresh the list. Here we go. Great Raw. Shout out to the Raw Women's Division. That's from C's with $1.99. Thank you, C's. He pulled a Carlos Mencia. That's exactly what he did. He pulled a Carlos Mencia on me. You're stealing my material. Sidro, you could say Solo had a monster showing tonight. Now he's trying to suck up to me. Elijah with a $9.99. Bronze promo gave me kind of an old school feel with it. One of those fiery, energetic promos fueled by testosterone and booger sugar that we don't get anymore in WWE. Well, there was no booger sugar involved in this promo, although I will tell you, I do miss the old booger sugar promos. They don't make wrestling promos like they used to. Wrestling promos in general are just so much worse now than they used to be. It's one thing that I find very sad. It's a lost art. It really is. Like the new stuff, in terms of promos, the new stuff really just does not compare to the old stuff. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. Elijah Benedict. Look at this. We have 2 different Elijahs. None of whom are from TNA. Missed Raw tonight. Glad I have you to help keep me updated. I'm always here to keep you updated. You can always rely on me. Duff's Vids. What does a Chinese cat say? Me how? Why is it the stupid ones that get a chuckle out of me? We got Crackbone. This is Cousin Solo with a $40 super chat. That's the Sicko super chat. My best friend Alex is a huge fan and listens every week. He turns 33 this Wednesday. Can he get a birthday shout out? Much love from Daniel and Dutch. Alex is a frequent visitor here on the streams. Alex is a good guy, and I want to take this opportunity to wish him a very happy birthday. 33. Look at that. On Wednesday. Maybe he'll celebrate with us on the Dynamite Post Show. But anyway, Alex, wherever you may be, I wish you a very happy birthday. I hope that you can do something more exciting than just watching Dynamite at home, but if that's what you're doing, hopefully you'll be able to join. But happy birthday, brother. Sidro, if Dom is an ex-con, does it make him the ex-con Dom? The ex-condom, yes. Very good. I guess it would. I guess it would make him a rubber, yes. And we hit the bonus goal. $50 15 out of 15, which unlocks a second round of Be the Booker. You love to see it. Of course, I say that now. Let's see what matches I book. I may not feel that same way after we're done. Duff's Vids, a fire broke out at a dispensary, and the smoke blew to a cow farm nearby. The stakes were high. Retro KOH, I disagree. Tonight was epic. LA Knight beat Jay. He won. That shocked me. Yes, you know what? You make a good point there, actually. LA Knight winning that match tonight, that was pretty epic. And unexpected. That's the closest thing we got to epic on the show tonight. An actual LA Knight win over Jey Uso. MGM ballin'. He's balling. He's not just balling, he's balling. With a $9.99. What is Jacob Fatu? What does Jacob Fatu shout when he finds a golf shirt that he likes? I love you, Polo. Sorry, I just want to contribute to the bonus goal. Love you, Solo. You know, some more like that, you might be giving Sidro a run for his money. That one's not bad, actually. I love you, Polo is not terrible. It's not. Thank you. Duff's Vids, my grandpa has 2 jobs. One on a train and one in an orchestra. He's a semiconductor. Alexander, you know what is going to be sad? Zoe Stark is going to eventually come back, be put in the Intercontinental title picture to no fanfare. Sadly, yes, I think you are right. But that's up to them. Give her some vignettes like they're giving to Maxine Dupree. Give people a reason to get invested with her. Tell the story of her comeback. She went through a horrendous injury, like just a devastating, brutal injury. That has to be part of her comeback story. That's a real thing. That's a real story. That's how you get people behind her. That's how you get people invested in her. Instead of just bringing her back as a heel on TV. Right? You tell that story and let her do the rest, and hopefully that'll be enough for her to actually get over. But if they don't do that, then yeah, people aren't going to care. She'll come out to crickets and nobody will care. The moldy cheeseburger. I think both WWE and AEW need to put both War Games and Blood and Guts on ice for a while. It's already overused, much like Hell in a Cell. Every year on every show, it needs a break. Save it for when you have the right story to support it. That's what I say. JDFVA, thank you for the $2, brother. Duff's Vids, what is the opposite of Parkin' Son? Drive-in daughter. Well, you really worked hard for that one, didn't you? You didn't get it. You didn't get there. But I could tell that that one, it took some work. It took some thinking, that one, but it didn't hit the mark for me. There's Alex. Alex is with us. Alex with a 5. Happy birthday, Alex. It's a little early, but happy birthday. There was nothing epic about this garbage-ass show. I'm sorry, Solo, but Triple H has to go. This guy is doing an awful freaking job. Well, there you go. We know we have one person here who will not support Triple H in this role as the Chief Content Officer. Triple H must go. Well, then who takes his spot? Do you pull Shawn Michaels up from NXT? If not, who gets his spot? Bruce? Got to have a plan B. Who's the plan B? Paul Heyman? James Griffin. Hello, Solomonster. I wanted to ask you, did the hubris of Paul Heyman cost ECW to fold? I guess he means cause ECW to fold. Also, would WCW and WWE be successful on networks like NBC or CBS during the Monday Night War? Wrestling was super popular back then. They would not have lasted on network television unless they adjusted their content. And mainly I'm talking about WWF in the Attitude Era. They would have had to adjust their content accordingly. And that would have, I think, affected their popularity to a degree. So I think they could have made it work, but I think that era would have looked quite different. But I think it could have been successful. It wasn't successful just because of the gratuitous shit that they were doing. So yes, the answer is yes. You could have made it work, but it would have looked very different. Did the hubris of Paul Heyman cause ECW to fold? Yeah, I think in many ways it did. I mean, he's talked about money that was owed to them by Acclaim, the video game company, and he points to other things where they could have continued on if this would have just gone differently and that would have gone differently. But he did a lot of bad shit. You hear about those stories about like Chris Candido and Tammy Sitch and putting stuff on their own credit card. And I think, what was the story about how they lost their home as a result of it? Like, there was some really shady ass shit going on. And I'd say hubris is probably a good word for it. Yeah, I would say so. Duff's Vids, I lost my job as a massage therapist. Apparently, I rub people the wrong way. You got to be careful. If you rub people the wrong way, you can go to jail for that. Thank you, Dubs. Andre Jefferson, where the hell is Santos Escobar? Guy's got the best job in the world. He was ready to bounce. He called their bluff. They came back at him with a much bigger contract. And he's just sitting at home chilling, just waiting for that phone call. He's getting a nice paid vacation. We should all be so lucky as Santos Escobar is right now. Libido Bell with a $5 super chat. I seen a couple of outsiders that were on the run. They were hauling ass. Beto got jokes too. Bobby Means, after tonight, WWE has essentially no choice but to put the title on Braun Breaker. If they don't, it would be a huge L. That Liv and Vicaire stare down. He's got the little eye emoji. Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest match right now that they have set up for that women's championship. I don't know that I would immediately go into it, though. But they've set that up as a big match to do really at the start of next year. Maybe even that first Raw in Brooklyn. They may set that up as a title match, too, on that show. Liv Morgan against Stephanie Vicaire. Matt Fisher, why is Arnold making decisions? Because he is Determinator. Where do you come up with some of these? He's the Determinator. Also, Matt says, why did the football coach go to the bank to get his quarterback? You go to the bank to get a quarter? Are things really that bad? The Shaunathon. Your co-host had a good question. Where is the Triple H from NXT Black and Gold or even 2024? I wonder if creative is more for TKO. Booking for the main roster is very different than booking for NXT. It is not the same thing. And as far as booking for TKO, yeah, I'm sure there are certain things TKO likes and Triple H knows it. Nick Khan knows it. They all know it, his lieutenants, Bruce, everybody. And so, it used to be where you kind of write for an audience of one. If you were a writer working for Vince McMahon, I don't know that it's an audience of one that you're writing for now, but there's definitely an audience that I think that they are writing these shows for. Matt says, why did the chicken go to the bank to get his buck back? I fucked it up. To get his buck. When potatoes have kids, what are they called? Tater tots. Where does the carrot go to drink? The salad bar. Boy, you're on a roll here. I'm not laughing out loud or anything, but he's on a roll, man. One right after the other. Boom, boom, boom. Look at this guy. Dry Chicken says, pick your poison. Fight Brock Lesnar in the dark or go into business for yourself and take away Io Sky's trash can? Is that what you mean? I don't even know what you're asking me. I'm not picking the first one. I'll pick the second one. I don't even know what you're asking me there, but I'll pick the second one, not the first one. Ragnarok. We all like Braun Breaker. Well, not everybody does. There are people who don't. We all like Braun Breaker, but I don't like that Bronson killed Seth first and pinned Roman, but is presented as second fiddle. Reed could main event WrestleMania 2. Well, he can't because King Kong Bundy main evented WrestleMania 2. See, I got the jokes too. No, look, Reed is what, 37 years old? Braun Breaker is not. So if you want to know why Braun Breaker is being pushed the way he is and not Bronson Reed, there you go. Even though Bronson Reed is closer to the average age of your WWE main eventer these days, Braun Breaker is the one that they are building for the future, And he's not just the future now, he's the here and now. He's their crown jewel. Bronson Reed is not. Bronson Reed is there to help support that. Could I see Bronson Reed main eventing WrestleMania? Not unless it's some sort of tag team match. I'm not even judging his in-ring skill. I'm just saying Bronson Reed is not main eventing a WrestleMania. Braun Breaker will main event several WrestleManias. It's just the way it is. That's not the role that they have in mind for Bronson Reed. Duff's Vids with a $9.99. What do you call? Oh, you just repeated the same. Now you're actually repeating jokes on the same stream. First you steal jokes from me, Sidro, and now this guy is repeating jokes on the same stream. Now, was that yours before or Sidro's? Are you stealing from Sidro now? This is getting dirty now. Now it's getting dirty. Dried Chicken says Cheech and Chong would write better stories than Triple H. Oh, maybe Triple H needs to, hit the grass. Maybe that's his problem. Maybe he needs to just mellow out a little bit. Then the ideas will flow. Leopoldo, the New Day should return in 2026 as the New Year. This solo Gunny match is better than every Jay Gunny. Are we calling him Gunny? You wouldn't dare call him that to his face. We calling Gunther Gunny? I can't support this. We got Fox. I can listen to you talk all day. You the man. Thank you, Fox. I have to listen to myself talk all day. Trust me, it's not that great. But I appreciate that. Thank you. Sidro says, Gunny, I'm home. Oh, there's Vince. Never looked better. There's Vince.
Hello, Dr. Gordon. I want to play a game.
I've set 14 bombs underneath your toilet that will explode. Unless you put your hands into the toilet through all of the refuse and pull out the keys and the lock on your feet. Live or die. Make your choice.
Hey, we got Boots with the $20 super chat. During the sound off intro, again, I read this one earlier. I'm going to read it again. I thought it was Shivani saying, "Is that Pat Patterson? Holy mackerel, did he get fat?" And then he learned that it, in fact, was Gorilla Monsoon. Everybody needs to check out that not even the whole video, WrestleFest 94, but in that video, Brett and Owen against the Steiners. Great match. Not a great finish, but great match. Carlos with a $4.99. Hey, Solo brother, your favorite WWE champion of all time versus your favorite AEW world champion so far. Who would win? Thanks for everything. Bret Hart would win. How about Bret Hart, prime Bret Hart, as the WWF champion against Kenny Omega as the AEW champion? Two fellow Canadians going to battle. Still going with Bret. We got Velvet Floor 18. Triple H overselling tonight's show or Shawn Michaels SummerSlam 2005? Which was more entertaining? Shawn Michaels overselling. Yeah, I'm not very entertained when Triple H oversells these things. Shawn Michaels overselling at SummerSlam was actually very entertaining. Leopoldo, Gunther's old song is less heel. Slow babyface turn? No, I don't think so. I think he will eventually be a babyface. Are you asking me, are they in the process of slowly turning him babyface? I don't think so. But I suppose if they were building to a Brock Lesnar-Gunther match at WrestleMania, I mean, would Gunther not be the babyface in that scenario? I don't know. I mean, Brock's been babyface in the last few years, so I suppose it could be him, but I don't think that's what's going on with the new music. The Oracle. Longest streak someone's been a good booker. My gosh, the longest booking streak? I mean, you'd have to go back to some of the early bookers from 70s and 80s. Offhand, I don't know. How long was that run that Bill Watts had? I don't know. Maybe Watts? I don't know. I actually don't know. Barry MK, they really should turn that EO fan sign into her new entrance video. JDFVA, an LA Knight talk show. He can make it work. Hey, look, some of the biggest stars in WWE history had their own talk show. Shawn Michaels had the Heartbreak Hotel. Chris Jericho had the highlight reel. Piper had Piper's Pit. What would we call the LA Knight segment? Up All Night with LA Knight? What would we call it? Boots with a 5. I listen to the podcast at 1.5x speed, which is why I'm sometimes late showing up for reviews and TNT. So sped up it does sound like an excited Shivani. Okay, well, if you're listening to it at a different speed, then I can't vouch for what he must sound like. But if you listen to it at normal, regular speed, it definitely sounds like a Gorilla Monsoon. Oh, you know what? I got a great name for an LA Knight talk show. Shoes of a Champion. There you go. It'll be a little inside joke only some people will get. Shoes of a Champion. There you go. Shoes of a Champion with LA Knight. I could see it now. Fox. Are LA Knight and Ryder going to drive a talking car and fight crime? If they do, I'll bet you he'll find a way to get it over. It'll get over. I think that would get over. B-Man the champ. So LA and Zach like they just did Charlotte and Alexa. Yeah, but actually putting more effort into it in terms of like filming vignettes and segments outside of the arena. Can we do some of that? They hardly do any of that anymore. NXT does that more often than they do. It can't be that costly. Ugh. Cold chill just went up my spine. Bree mode has been activated. But first, Dude here says, once Penta heals up, can we finally get the Lucha Bros on WWE television? They would give Raw's tag team division a shot in the arm that it desperately needs, plus getting the Lucha Bros against AJ Lee. Sign me up. I don't know that AJ and Dragon Lee will be a team long enough to actually get that, but that would be a fucking incredible match. Yeah, we're supposed to get the Lucha Bros December 20th on the AAA show against Dom and El Grande Americano. I don't know if Penta will be back in time for that match, though. Abyssal Zones. I crunched the numbers. Mania was where it all went wrong for LA Knight. He started 2025 strong. But since WrestleMania, he has lost twice as much as he has won. And somehow he's still over. Yeah, it has not been a great year for LA Knight. I mean, he's made it this far in the tournament. That's great. But if you look at his year, like his year over year overall, like it's not been a great year for him. I mean, they need to rectify that in 2026. Jeremy Rose. I mean, I know he's not one of the young talents they're looking to push, but I mean, there's no reason that he should just be wasting away like this. Jeremy says, Cena beats Gunther. Gunther is pissed and calls it a fluke, demanding a rematch. Eventually, Cena accepts at WrestleMania. Gunther gets his win, and Cena gets to have a better finale or a better final WrestleMania. That's all well and good, but that's not happening. Cena is done on December 13th. There will be no WrestleMania match. Unfortunately, the last WrestleMania for John Cena, even though he won number 17, the memory of that will be Fiend, and a terrible match with Cody Rhodes. And that's a shame, because it didn't have to be that way, but that's what we got. And that sucks. Scumdog, thank you for the 10. Scumdog, I appreciate that. The Mount Vernon Kid, Christopher Bennett. Hey, today is December 2nd. I guess now it is. Can you wish my little brother, Hulkling93, a happy 32nd birthday? As an older brother, I could not be more proud of him. Love you, Malcolm. Well, see, that's a nice older brother. Look at that. Happy birthday to Hulkling93. Happy birthday, Malcolm. Happy 32nd. I hope it's a great one. I hope it's better than 31. Chris, thank you. I appreciate that. Barry MK with a 5. What's it like doing commentary for HOG? How much of what you say can be your own thoughts? And what wrestlers right now would you want to do commentary for? I've been very fortunate. I've been able to do commentary for a lot of big names. Yeah, it was very cool last summer. Doing commentary for Swerve Strickland. We brought him in against Red, and Swerve was the AEW World Champion at the time. So, you know, calling that was, or just being part of that was very cool. What's it like doing commentary? It's a lot of fun. It's very fulfilling. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're working with, you know, sometimes 2 or 3 other people. Or the complete opposite, when sometimes I'm doing it by myself. I'm going full Joey Styles, like I did in Texas back in July. It's kind of nerve-wracking. It's not easy, but again, it's a very fun thing to be able to go out there and be the soundtrack, you know, for these shows. As far as like how much of what you say can be your own thoughts, they're all my own thoughts. Nobody tells me what to say. I will try to go to talent to find out if there's anything in particular they want me to say. I did that actually at the Super Clash show that we just had on Long Island. I had a whole conversation with Killer Cross. And I said, hey, look, is there anything that you want me to, you know, get across or say or do? And he's great because he's full of ideas. And there were a couple of things in particular. I won't share what they were, but there were a couple of things in particular, and then we got into a whole conversation. And so I try to pull from the talent as far as anything they may want me to say. You try to keep it focused on the stories. So like story-wise, you know, take it in the direction that it needs to be going in. It's a lot, you know, it's a lot of work, but I find it very fulfilling. Z-Ray with a 10. Honestly, with Live Back, I'm glad they are doing something with Judgment Day because for the longest time they were just on TV to show their face. Dom was the only one doing anything at all. Yeah, it just felt like when Liv got hurt, things just sort of stalled out in many ways. At least on what they were planning on doing, obviously. And you're kind of in a holding pattern until that person comes back. So they probably could have brought her back as a television character a lot earlier. But they chose to wait until she was fully healed. And now they can sort of pick up with whatever it was that they wanted to do before that they didn't have a chance to do. Alexander, Tony Khan's favorite words are great. Is great. Hunter's is epic. He's going to say it often like a nervous Nelly. Now, you know what I love? There's that video that goes around every now and then of Triple H at like the post-show press conferences or media scrums. And he loves saying, it's what we do. There's like a whole compilation of him saying that. Like, it's what we do. This is what we do. It's what we do. It's what we do. They're going to put that on his fucking headstone when he dies. It's just going to say, Triple H, here lies Paul Triple H Levesque. It's what we do. It's going to say it right there on his tombstone. Marquand, 1976. Hi, Solo. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Word is after Survivor Series went off the air, Jay went back to yeet the cage some more. You know, I heard some rumors about this. I would rather not know what he did to that cage after hours. I heard some terrible rumors about what he did. I will not share them. Carlos says, run back the intro, Solo. Yeet. Oh, should I run it back? I should do. I just poked myself in the face. I should do that one of these days. I'm going to start the stream. And after the intro and after the, it was going to come to me. And I'm just going to go like this. We're going to run it back. And then I'll just run the whole fucking thing all over again. That's not a bad idea. Justin says, home from the Redwoods. Sat under some very tall learning trees indeed. I'll bet. Thank you, Justin. Z-Ray with a 10. No message. Just showing some love. Thank you, Z-Ray. Let me refresh the list here. And we'll get to these final batch of Super Chats. Nick Grasso with a $4.99. If Batista doesn't get hurt in late 2005 and forfeit the world title, what does he do at... Let me put this on screen here. Hold on. There we go. If Batista doesn't get hurt in late 2005 and forfeit the world title, what does he do at WrestleMania 22? And does Rey Mysterio still get his big moment? It's That's a good question. Would he still have gotten that moment? I feel like he would have. Yes, I feel like he would have. I don't know if there was an original plan that far out for him at WrestleMania. I don't know who he would have faced. I mean, maybe it would have ended up being Ray. I don't know. I'm trying to put myself back in that headspace of late 05, early 06. And who was on top on SmackDown, right? You had Kurt Angle, you had Randy Orton. But I don't know what that match would have been. Probably, I mean, we got a triple threat, right, at 22. So probably would have been some sort of triple threat or fatal four-way would be my guess. Hey, Evan, welcome to the channel. Joe Hendry, look at this. Joe Hendry's giving you the big clap. He's not giving you the clap. He's giving you the, you know what I mean. Joe Hendry did not give him the clap. Nick, thank you for the question. I wish I had a better answer, but that would be my best guess. Matt Fisher says, why is it prohibited to do the reverse cowgirl in Alabama? You can't turn your back on your... Okay, so now you're just trolling me. That's twice in one stream that two people have stolen my joke. Robotech guy with a 10. Buy or sell. Jesse Ventura referring to Tito Santana as Chico, or Bobby Heenan referring to him as La Bamba. Great show as always. Every time I hear La Bamba, I just think of Conan and La Bamba from his band on Conan O'Brien's show. I gotta go Chico. And then Monsoon would try to correct him. It's Tito, and he would still call him Chico. Base Beerus says Tommy Dreamer sent that kid to... Tommy Dreamer sent that kid to finish off Paul Heyman. Oh my God. Oh, man. He couldn't get the job done himself, so he was going to send, what, a little 9-year-old kid to do it for him?
I am the learning tree. Thanks, guys.
Oh, Emoji Matt. Planting some trees. FYI, I'm not drunk during TNT. I'm quoting The Simpsons. LOL. I don't care who you're quoting. I appreciate the super chat. Sidro. My job in Zimbabwe is applying a spray to soften the leather straps attached to a horse's bit. I missed the rains down in Africa. Oh my God. Really? Are we quoting Toto now? Are we doing a Toto song? Base Beerus, Naked Midian should host WrestleMania. No. No, he shouldn't. The Juliet. Report by SI saying TNA could be on AMC. Yes, that was a report from a few weeks ago. Apparently AMC is also in the conversation. Tucky Neutron. Been super busy. Hope all is well. Raw. Women's division. And then some fire emojis. It's good to hear from you, Tucky Neutron. It's been a while. Brandon Vasquez, who would win a real-life triple threat street fight? Haku, Brock Lesnar, or Steve Blackman? Oh my God. You thought we had a lot of blood and guts. What would that look like? Oh my God, a real life triple threat street fight with those guys. You know what, man, it is hard for me to vote against Haku. I think Haku bit someone's nose off once, right? Is that the story? Plucked their eye out or bit their nose off? But man, Steve Blackman is not one to be messed with. I kind of feel like in that situation, there really are no winners. Base Beerus. Buy or sell Ric Flair or Sabu's last match? I thought they were both horrible. Especially that bump that Sabu took out of the ring. Ugh. Where he landed on his head. I thought they were both awful. Dried chicken and turkey. Why on earth the WWE women didn't use any stink bombs, fire extinguishers, or large Lego blocks in the War Games match? No, they have to stick with their usual stuff, man. You're only in WWE, you're only allowed certain objects. You got to have chairs. You got to have your Slim Jim tables, which I don't think they had, but you got your Slim Jim tables, your chairs. You've got your kendo sticks, and then more kendo sticks, and then even more kendo sticks. Then you can spit mist in someone's face. That's okay. I think Kyrie had a chain, right? We have a garbage can for EO, and that's about it. You've reached your quota. Duff's Vids. Went to the doctors for back pain, and he said the problem is that you sit too much during the day. I said, I understand. Doctor, yes, you do. It's clever. That was clever. Not bad. Alex with a 25. Thank you, Solo, and everyone for the birthday wishes. Didn't know Crackbone sent that message until a few minutes ago. Unfortunately, I will be working on Wednesday and won't celebrate until Saturday, but I will join you on Wednesday. Good. I'm happy. I'm glad to hear that. It's better to celebrate on the weekend anyway. That's when I used to celebrate when I would go out and have like birthday parties and shit. It was always on the weekend. That way nobody has to think about work. Except me, because I work all week and all weekend. But most people, they usually don't work on the weekends. Why? LA Night Talk Show would be Let Me Talk to You. Come on. Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's kind of a gimme, I guess. Let Me Talk to You with LA Knight. Yeah, I guess that's what it would be. You know, I actually really like that idea of him having the talk show. At least it would get him on TV on most weeks, and then from those segments could come feuds, right? For him to kind of branch off into. I'm not opposed to that idea. Usually, I'm not always, I guess not always. Usually it's more of a heel thing. But, yeah, he doesn't have to be a heel. Paul Carpenter. The Megastar Talk Show, LA Knight. No, it's got to be Let Me Talk to You. It's got to be Let Me Talk to You is the name. Dried chicken and turkey. If Nikki Bella wrestled in AEW, the sickos would embrace her package. I mean her presence. Hey, Crystal, what's going on? Hi, Crystal. Would they? Oh, they would embrace her. Sure, yeah, yeah. She would probably pick up some bad habits too. Nikki Bella. Can you imagine Nikki Bella in Blood and Guts? Landing in the broken shards of glass and tacks. Unlock the hardcore side of Nikki, not that kind of hardcore, but the hardcore side of Nikki Bella. Yukio rules. Hey Solo, who wins? Vato Sting or Camacho, aka Tongaloa? Great stream as always. Oh, Vato Sting. Vato Sting is unbeaten. Bobby Means. How did you get your first break into commentary. I was invited out to a House of Glory show in the summer of 2018 to be a part of, they were trying a little like WWE type of pre-show gimmick. So I was invited to be a part of that and stuck around to watch the show. There was an open challenge. There happened to be an open challenge that night where Austin Aries was defending the TNA World Heavyweight Championship of all things against a mystery man, which turned out to be one of our kind of homegrown talents in House of Glory. And I sat in on that match to do commentary. I was one of like 4 people. So, and I'm sure I was, didn't know what I was doing. But that's how it started. And then I started coming to the shows. Not with any sort of expectations, but just kind of helping out, where I was needed. Not even really always on commentary. But then there was an opening. Somebody left to go start his own promotion and do commentary there. And it's like, oh, we have an opening on commentary. And it just sort of went from there. So that's how it all started. And Evan Rogers, odds on Cena winning on the 13th. It kind of would be an I'm sorry present for all the fans who feel like they fumbled his last year of the snap. That's why I said before, sometimes you just have to, it's not just about Cena probably wanting, I'm sure Cena would want to lose. Or it's like, oh, we gotta, he has to lose to put this guy over. Or sometimes you just have to do what is best for the show, for the story, for the fans. And I think that it would leave a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths if, coming off of what happened at Survivor Series, he goes in there in his last match a few weeks later and just gets beat by Gunther. Passes out in fucking sleeper. Powerbombed and pinned. Even I can look at that and go, as much as I would love to see Gunther get a big win there, I could look at that and go, just objectively from watching this show, like, man, that would be a fucking bummer. So that's why I was talking about that before, where I think, Cena winning that match might be the best outcome, just to kind of give the fans something to actually cheer for at the end when they haven't always had something to cheer for during this Cena retirement tour. So that way at least it doesn't end on a sour note. Matt Fisher, again, thank you for that $12 super chat. I appreciate that. And now you rule as Hog Commish. Yeah, and look at that. I went from commentary to commentary and being the commissioner of the entire fucking promotion. How'd that happen? I worked my way up the corporate ladder. Look at that. No casting couch for this guy, I could tell you that much. Now I have all the responsibilities. Now, most of them, not all of them. Donovan Payne. What's the better pay-per-view? ECW One Night Stand 2005 or ECW One Night Stand 2006? ECW One Night Stand 2005. That is actually, and I say this as not even someone who was like a huge ECW fan back in the day. That is one of my favorite pay-per-views of any kind all time. And I'm so pissed I wasn't there. I don't even know why I wasn't there, but it was right in my backyard. And I've been to that building, man, in the years after that for Ring of Honor shows, man. I've been in that Manhattan Center, the Hammerstein, so many times. And I can't even imagine what the atmosphere was in that building. I mean, I could sense it by watching it on TV, but like to be there live, I mean, that would have been an incredible experience. Maze the Great, happy 18 years, Solo. The sound off is now too old for the likes of Grizzly Smith. Yes, and Jerry Lawler, among others. Thank you, Maze. And Duff's Vids, what does Halloween and hillbillies have in common? Pumpkin. Duff's vids, always with the classy jokes. Pumpkin is what he said. And Devin also with a $4.99 buy or sell on the best WrestleMania trilogy. Stone Cold versus The Rock, Triple H versus The Undertaker, and Roman against Brock. Oh, and coming soon, Roman and Cody. Because that's the match we need. I mean, the best trilogy, best WrestleMania trilogy, Austin and Rock. And then Triple H and Undertaker, and then Roman and Brock. So you had the order right. Have there been any other WrestleMania trilogies? I don't think so. Maybe those might be the only ones. I think if Jey Uso appeared in House of Glory, that would be the moment Solomonster turns heel on him. No. We would welcome Jey Uso with open arms. He can yeet to his heart's content. And then I would announce his mystery opponent. And it would be a 4-on-1 handicap match. All right, well, not only did we hit the regular goal, because we are well north of 500 likes, actually closing in soon on 600 if you want to help get me there. But we hit the bonus goal as well. So we are getting 2 rounds of Be the Booker. I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. Are you? Are you ready? You better be. It's time to be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
I've been waiting all night for this. It's time to book some wrestling matches. A little fun thing we do here at the end of most of these streams. Not always every stream, but most of these streams. Triple H promised you people an epic Raw tonight, and he lied to you. He gave you a good show. He didn't give you an epic show. I, on the other hand, I've made no such promises, but I am going to try to give you an epic card. I'm going to try. So let's see what we can do here. We begin, we're going old school, because when you see the black and white, you know we're going old school here. This is a little team from the Twin Cities, from the AWA, called the East-West Connection. Jesse Ventura and, why did his name just pop out of my head? Adrian Adonis. His name just randomly popped out of my head for some reason. Jesse Ventura and Adrian Adonis. A very good team. Let's see who they're going to be wrestling. They are going to be challenging RK Bro, Randy Orton, and Matt Riddle. Look how small Randy Orton looks here compared to how he was when he came back the last time. Like, compared to how he is now. Oh my God, he looks completely deflated here. He's only gotten bigger since then. And I don't mean fatter. Be a hell of a match, though. RK Bro and the East-West Connection. All right. Let's move on to match number 2. Where is Matt Riddle? Try looking in MLW. She's in her tank, everybody. It is the reigning House of Glory Women's Champion. It is Shotzi is here and Be the Booker. Is this her Be the Booker debut? I think it might be. The woman has a tank on her way to the ring. We have Shotzi against Candice LeRae. Shotzi, look, I have love for Shotzi and the work that she's put in this year. Really all over the independent scene. It's actually been very impressive. But Shotzi and Candice, with all of the other names that we have here, I'm trying to book an epic card here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wish I could. I just can't do it. I promised the people an epic card. We have the Honky Tonk Man. Now, if I buzzed the previous match, how could I bell the Honky Tonk Man in the main event? Although Honky Tonk Man, I will say, as a heel when he was the champion back in 87 into 88, they did headline some shows with him. In fact, the very first show I ever went to live in my life at Madison Square Garden had him in the main event, defending against the Macho Man. It's my earliest live wrestling memory. And people bought tickets to see this guy get his ass kicked. He was a draw there for a while. You can make fun of Honky Tonk Man all you want to. Let's get the drum roll. The Honky Tonk Man against The Fiend. Bray Wyatt in the main event. A little blend of old school and new school. A match that we've never booked before. It is a very interesting styles clash between these two. The Fiend and the Honky Tonk Man. I don't know how that would go. I don't know how that would go. I feel like he would hit the Fiend over the head with a guitar, and the Fiend would just no sell it. Justin says, I am sickened but curious. It is a very weird matchup, isn't it? Hell in a Cell in Saudi Arabia. Honky Tonk Man against the Fiend. Yeah, I don't think we need that. I love those first time matches that we've never booked before. Yeah, Fiend would absolutely no sell the guitar. But would Honky do the job? See, that's the question. Would Honky do the job? I don't know. All right, round number 2. This time we get to add stipulations. Let's pick our first one. We are going with a barroom brawl. You know, it's funny. I just got done talking about this. This may have been the last time that I could remember, and this was a few years ago, that WWE did anything like this on location somewhere, like on the main roster. They don't do stuff like this anymore. They're not adventurous when it comes to this anymore. Everything's so fucking sterile and boring and safe. Like, we need more shit like this. All right, we got a barroom brawl. You know what? Let's What do you think? Barroom brawl tag match? We'll do tag team match. How about that? Barroom brawl tag team match. We'll get the whole bar involved. Undertaker and Big Show. This is the Unholy Alliance. Oh man, imagine those two storm into the bar. They storm into the old friendly tap that Tim White used to run. That place would be trashed within 2 seconds. Undertaker and Big Show against the Natural Disasters in a barroom brawl. I feel sorry for whoever owns this bar. This bar will never be the same again when these four when they get done. Forget about it. You're gonna have to cut the owner a check so he can rebuild. That place ain't gonna last. All right, let's go. Match number 2 here. That's like the perfect. I feel like that's like the perfect stipulation though for a match like that. All right, we're doing a Lions Den match. Someone mentioned Steve Blackman before. There he is in the background. I wouldn't want to be locked in a cage with that guy. A Lions Den match. We'll go with the men this time. Usually we do the men in the main event. We're going to give the like they did on Raw tonight. We're going to give the ladies the main event. And we'll go with the guys in a Lions Den match. Demon Balor. You know what's good about this? There's no ropes for him to climb. So he can't fall flat on his face the way he did against Roman Reigns all those years ago. That's good. Demon Balor, who was supposed to beat Edge at WrestleMania, but Vince McMahon nixed it and said, no, Edge has to beat him. Oh no, Finn Balor as the Demon against the Giant Gonzalez in a Lions Den match. Oh, poor Finn. There's nothing he can do. There's just nothing he can do. There's nothing Balor can do. There's no saving it. I feel so sorry for him. He's so fucked. There's just nothing he can do. I don't even know what to say. All right, we got one match left to go here. Yep, he's still there. He's still in Be the Booker. He's still there. We have a Monsters Ball match. The women are going to be in a Monsters Ball. Or in a Monsters Balls. Here we go. Not this monster. All right, here we go. We have Carmella, the Princess of Staten Island. She was just at I think she was at the big event convention on Long Island a few weeks ago. Carmella, former SmackDown Women's Champion. Not really somebody I could picture in a Monsters Ball match, though. Against Jade Cargill. Fuck it, we're going to add 2 more people to this. We're having a big-ass Monsters Ball match here. I'm making an executive decision. We're going to make this a fatal 4-way Monsters Ball. We have Carmella. We have Jade Cargill. We have Asuka. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we are getting somewhere. And Trish Stratus. You've got Trish Stratus, you've got Asuka, you've got Jade, and you've got Carmella. Monsters Ball. It's a nice little attraction for you. So what do you think? Epic? Was this an epic card? Yay or nay in the chat. Was this more or less epic than what Triple H gave you on Raw tonight? You mean to tell me you don't think Finn Balor and the Giant Gonzalez inside the Lions Den? You mean to tell me that's not epic? It's an epic fail, but epic nonetheless, right? It's got to be better than what he gave you tonight. At least give me that much.
My curiosity is killing me just like a cat would be killed by the curiosity, yeah.
Holiday. Dropping some super chat love. Hey, first we got Wink the Cosmic Grandma. Most likely to have a trilogy with Braun. Jacob Fatu. Holiday says, hi, Solo. Triple H promised an epic Raw tonight, but it wasn't very newsworthy. It's an improvement from previous weeks, though. Wondering if Jericho may be revealed as the Vision leader, given the weight, and Theory's a member instead. Jericho leading the Vision? It would set up a program for Seth Rollins when he came back, but I mean, I don't see it. Again, even the idea that Jericho was the... I mean, I guess... So what you're saying is that Theory would be a member. So he would technically be revealed as the masked man, because Jericho ain't running in and out of that cage that quick. Nobody would buy that. But you're basically saying Jericho replaces Seth as like the veteran leader of the group. I mean, you could do it. I mean, I don't know. We've had nothing but Jericho in factions in AEW, and then you're going to debut him in WWE in a faction? We're going to go through this all over again? It's going to be like Learning Tree 2.0. I don't know if I could handle that. Boots, from the current WWE roster, who would be a good choice to be Doink the Clown and have them work in AAA? The way he's been booked, LA Knight. Let's put the fucking makeup on him. I need to see that Photoshop now of him with the green hair and the makeup on. Power Spine Games. Speaking of adventure, I watched the 2001 segment of Booker T and Austin in church again. No, it's a great one. It's not as good as the supermarket one, but they did one in the supermarket. They did one in church. They did one in a bingo hall. See, that was entertaining. That's what I'm talking about. That's what's missing. That's what's missing from these shows. Where's the fun? And Super Pony, when did the honeymoon phase with Triple H end? 2025. When he fucked up Cena's retirement run. That's when the honeymoon phase officially ended. Booker playing bingo was comedy. It was, of course, it was comedy gold. I mean, you got to have the right people to make it work. But they don't have fun. Jericho pinning LA at Mania is going to make the internet implode. I still think that's the likeliest opponent for him, honestly. I think Jericho and LA Knight, if Jericho comes in, Jericho and LA Knight at WrestleMania, I think is the most likely match. But I said this on the sound off, if these reports are true, the WWE is only interested in pitching a retirement storyline for him. I don't think Jericho's ready to retire. If that's all WWE is interested in, I think he may well stay where he is. I mean, if that's the case, then I don't think it's as much of a slam dunk as we all thought it was that he's going to leave and go to WWE right now. Did I like the Snake Pit or the Funeral Parlor more? I was the Funeral Parlor. Snake Pit, I was very young and don't have a lot of great memories. The only real memory I have from the Snake Pit, honestly, is when Honky Tonk hit him in the head with the guitar. I have more memories of Piper's Pit and the Funeral Parlor and the barber shop. Booker is a legend with these comedy segments. Remember the stuff he did with Goldust when they did those, it was like movie review segments? Those were great too. Linkmaster X, Bret Hart deserved a retirement tour. Yes, he did. You know who we have to thank for that? Bill Goldberg. Thank you guys for a great stream tonight. We're just shy of 3 hours because you guys killed it here on the stream. A lot of great questions to be the bookers. We had some fun tonight. Let's keep it going. Let's extend that into Wednesday. We got the Dynamite post show. The Continental Classic continues. Could be a big angle on Wednesday. Moxley against Claudio in the Continental Classic. So we'll see how that goes. And then SmackDown Friday night, we got the finals. LA Knight and Gunther. Who's wrestling John Cena on December 13th? We're going to find out. And hopefully we'll get another U.S. title open challenge with Ilya Dragunov, because we did not get one on Friday last week, nor did we get one at Survivor Series. And boy, Survivor Series could have used one. Hopefully we'll get one this week. Go back and check out my Survivor Series full review if you missed it. Episode 940 of the Sound Off from Sunday. And I will see you back here on Wednesday. That's all I got for you for the Dynamite Post Show. Until then, be well, stay safe, have yourselves a great night, and I will see you in less than 48 hours. We'll do it all over again here live on YouTube. Until then, take care, guys.